Sorry, I just got kicked out of the studio the minute I clicked record. But welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. My name is Peter Howard, at PA Howdy on Twitter, senior writer for DLF Football. We talk about Dynasty fantasy football, just fantasy football in general, every Wednesday from 9:30 Eastern till when we get tired or the questions stop, usually around midnight. So if you have any questions, drop them in whatever comment box that is on whatever streaming platform you happen to be, for some reason, tuning into us. We really appreciate it. This week we have me, Russ Fisher from the Dynasty Trades podcast, as per usual, and Zach Reed from the Dynasty Dummies podcast, as per usual. Please don't tell DLF he's not with DLF, and we just don't mention it. And so far, no one's mentioned it, so that's pretty cool. This is a part of the season where everyone thinks they know the correct draft order for the rookie class, whether it's this is a real ADP or that is a real ADP, or you're never going to get Jahmyr Gibbs at 5, or Jordan Addison should go at 4, or whatever it is. The one thing to keep in mind always with rookie ADP is that you can't trust any of it. And ultimately, especially within tiers or close to their tiers, or if your league mates won't trade you, as I was just talking about with Zach, screw your league mates, teach them. You take your guy, and if they're not willing to come up for the price of what, a second, a third, then they're going to let someone else get the person that they think should be drafted at that spot. That is my overall lesson. That is generally how I play rookie drafts. And let's talk about it with Zach for a while. Zach, how's it going, my friend?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Done any rookie drafts yet?
I've done 2. And I've got another one upcoming next week where I have like the 4-12, and that's my only pick in the draft. Because I sold out to try to win last year and finish second, as is my lot in life.
Nice. I've done a startup where I've successfully employed the 2 tank strategy with Jordan Addison. I'll trade up to get Jordan Addison. I think I got Jordan Addison in the John Bosch league, so that might or might not be a good thing. I really don't understand how that league works. Obviously, that's why I mentioned it's a John Bosch league. And the DLF Pod League hasn't started. The Trade Addicts 7 is the one I'm in, has. And I ended up taking JSN over Addison and Gibbs. And I still feel conflicted about it. I think that's an interesting question in this year's class, as we were just talking about.
Yeah.
So how do you have it? Explain to the people why I'm wrong and stupid.
No, I don't think you can go wrong with those 3 picks because they're all fantastic. I think probably if you game theory it out and take the single most logical pick, it's probably Gibbs, because I think Gibbs has the best chance of producing at the highest level this year, and then you'd be able to do what I do where I trade running backs to go get young proven wide receivers. I think you'll probably be able to move Gibbs for Addison or JSN after this year. I have had that decision.
I just recorded before. Sorry, I was just going to say, I actually got back to recording videos this week, and one of them is literally how there's an intentional mistake in my ranks, and that's basically it. You probably should draft Gibbs. I'm not ranking it that way, and I'm not going to do it that way, but it makes sense. I know it's a mistake, technically, theory-wise. I'm just not going to do it. It's just, I'll show you the Fantasy Pros rank telling you that. I'll show you the DLF rank telling you that. And then I'll show you that I'm just not doing it. And then I'll give you a video explaining that I'm not going to do what is probably a good idea, but I'm not doing it. But carry on, you were saying.
I'm not going to change my rankings if they all got draft capital. Every single one of those players. So Addison, JSN, Gibbs,
not
Bijan,
enough draft capital between them.
Yeah, and so to me, it was always a question of Addison and JSN, and like I've got tweets that go back to December talking about how I'm struggling with that I'm flipping them back and forth, and they're both fantastic, and I think they're both going to be very productive in their own ways. And then we come to the NFL draft, and it was 2 weeks before the NFL draft that we were talking in a DM, Peter, and I said I need Addison to Minnesota. Like that would just be the icing on the cake. It would be perfect. And he went to Minnesota in the first round. And so that to me just edges out. I've had to make the decision one time. I had the 105 and I had Gibbs, JSN, and Addison all staring me in the face. And I took Addison, and Russ Fisher is commissioning that league. And he immediately DM'd me and was like, "You did it." And I was like, "Yes, I told you I was going to as soon as the draft happened." Like that's I'm pretty
people don't listen, Zach. People don't listen.
I'm pretty transparent with what I'm going to do. So
I am who I am.
Yeah. If you listen to me and you're in a league with me, you know exactly what I'm going to do. But
I think it's important to establish that because, again, building relationships and also just working in a league, people need to know they're not going to do, if that's one of your ways, I'm not going to take the best ADP. I'm going to take my guy, which means there's a value here if you want to come up and get it. And that encourages trading a little bit, I hope, one day, maybe. But on to some questions and comments. Ryan, thoughts on Alec Pierce? Hold, sell? I have different offers. Pierce for the 103 and the 310, or Pierce for Greg Dortch and the 301. My thoughts on Alec Pierce are a lot more positive pre-draft. Now I think Downs is there, and Downs is the player I want. I think Downs is going to get the routes and do better on them than Pierce did because he's very good. But I will say, before he was drafted to the team, Alec Pierce ran a significant number of routes. I think it was over 200. Well, he didn't do much with them. Routes themselves are a type of volume to chase, and I thought he was operating at a kind of a value. You're getting thirds for him. You're getting probably a little bit of a discount pre-draft, so it's probably fine. I guess I'll take the picks, but I don't think that either offer is really like exciting to me, specifically because I'd rather have Josh Downs. Zach?
Yeah, I think it's probably you either hold Pierce because you're hoping that he gains value and you can trade him for more than this, which I don't think is a great bet, or you make this trade and you have the fungibility. I don't want Greg Dortch. I'd rather have the 2 picks. I'd rather have the fungibility of the picks. I'd rather have the ability to, if I want to, maybe package the 310 and the 301 and move up a couple of spots and get into a range where, maybe Bigsby falls, or maybe Rashee Rice falls, or maybe some Jaden Reed falls, or Roschon Johnson. Like there's going to be somebody at the back end of the second, early third that those picks will allow me to move into that is going to be more enticing than Pierce. And it's not a knock at Pierce. Pierce is fine.
I agree. Sorry, I'm getting lag again. I don't know why. Especially in this draft, early third or the ability to trade up into the late second when you see someone that's available is a really tempting thing in this year's draft. And I think the picks do that better for you. Looking at, DLF ranks right now, they expect some crazy names to be going in the third round, including Tank Bigsby, Deuce Vaughn is in there. Donald Washington, if you still want to take a swing on him, or you can take someone like Jaden Reed, who had unexpected draft capital, or Cedric Tillman, who I didn't mind, and at least can show some level of playmaking ability and have a value swing. But the real tempting thing, like you said, is to use those picks and maybe your second to move into the exact spot you need to get the player you want. Whether it's Rashee Rice, some people like. I like Josh Downs, or one of those tight ends at 205. I think that's or Roschon Johnson's going at the end of the second.
I think Roschon Johnson is going to end up being the steal of this draft. I know that sounds a little hot takey, but I've been on it for a long time, and so it's not as hot takey because he's been my running back 4 since the process started, and he landed in Chicago. No offense to Khalil Herbert, but Khalil Herbert's not as big an obstacle as people want to make him out to be. And they added a 27-year-old journeyman and then Roschon Johnson. And I think Roschon Johnson's really talented. So he's a player that I really want to be in on.
Yeah, I've tried to target him in a few places so far, and I've been struck out because people have just been on the clock and taken him before I had a chance. And ADP's a little loose, so I didn't know exactly where he's going to go. Anyway, Alex, I think that's right. Traded the 106 and 111, the 112 and the 211 and 307 for Christian McCaffrey and a 24 first. Then traded him, Christian McCaffrey, and Garrett Wilson for the 101. Christian McCaffrey and the 101 and Wilson for the 101 is probably...
That's high.
Fine, but I wouldn't... That's an offer I would have said that's probably... I would take that to get out the 101. So, in the end, he's got the 101, the 102, the 103, the 105, 203, the 301, the 303, and the 306 current players. The only players he has, apparently, is Isaiah Hodgins and... oh, no, that's someone different. Sorry. Christian Watson, Pickens, Sutton, Smith, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. Is it too early to take Richardson at the 105? I said it's too late, and if this is a
no, it's a one. It's a no. He said in a one quarterback. I think that is
108, 105, 108 range is fine.
Yeah, 105 is early, but I get it.
Pretty
I understand what you like, the thinking, but that feels early for me, even in a one quarterback. I still want Bijan Robinson, Addison, JSN, Gibbs, and then probably there are two other receivers that I would consider. Although you do have the huge upside of Richardson, but I'm probably, Peter, I think you're right. It'd be like 108
as a reach.
Yeah, that would probably be where I would go, because I think I still want Flowers. I still want Quentin Johnston. I don't like currently in DLF they have Zach Charbonnet still up in as the running back 3. And I want no part of that.
I think he and Devin A-Chain are flipped, but I've talked to him about it, and they it's not a mistake. That's where they want to rank him. I'm like, all right. I can even acquiesce to the idea that he could take over more of the workload from Ken Walker than some people might expect, because he's a receiver and a rusher, and I get that. And they're both second-round running backs, but that still just means you're looking at at the smaller end, the bigger end of a deep committee, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Whereas A-Chain's got who is it in front of him? Mostert. He's fine.
Yeah, I mean, but
it's like having Khalil Herbert in front of you, you know?
Yeah.
Isaiah Hodgins or Tank Dell in best ball? Tank Dell, please.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's kind of a shrug. Although Hodgins did play well last year.
Kind of a shrug.
It is
definitely exciting. It is an exciting prospect to get a tank in your team. It's just the truth.
Hodgins played well last year, but a lot of it was touchdown driven.
Yeah.
You can shrug, but I finished in.
I do, sir.
I finished second in 3 different leagues behind Hodgins, and then whoever else was like Richie. It was like the 3 Giants receivers.
Yeah.
Like Richie James, Hodgins, and Slayton. It was wild. Like they had a stretch down the end of the regular season and into the playoffs for fantasy that they just were all scoring touchdowns, and so
I just think the only upside there is if Tank Dell can be one of those small guys.
I mean, he certainly is a small guy.
Hey, I should. He's bigger than Tutu.
Did you see? You probably didn't. Somebody tweeted out yesterday. Explain to me the difference between Tutu Atwell and Tank Dell, and my response was, Tutu is taller.
No, well, he's definitely not heavier. Put it that way.
No, but he's taller. He's an inch taller. At least
because Tank Dell's thick.
Yeah.
You know? Lincoln was here. Hey guys, what option? Who are you taking at the 105? Wait, am I right? Hey guys, what option? Or who would you take at the 105? 12-team Superflex, start 10, 1 tight end premium, 2 quarterbacks field, and that's his team. Doesn't matter, but there it is. I don't know. It depends who's on the clock. I suspect you're going to get a choice between Gibbs and Addison, and I don't mind either. Both are good picks. I have it ranked Gibbs right now. But yeah, Gibbs, JSN, and Addison are that tier to me where I just kind of want the receivers.
Yeah, and Lincoln, probably the route I would go first is to try to trade back to the 107 and get their second round pick. So if I could trade from the 105 to the 107 and get the 207, I'm going to be really happy about that, because I still get one of JSN, Gibbs, or Addison, who, like, all three of those players, you're going to hear us talk about that. Like, that's a really nice tier in Superflex. They're all,
especially in Superflex.
Yeah, they're all really good players. I think if you're forced to pick and you think your team is competitive this year, it's got to be Gibbs or Addison, because I really struggle seeing Jackson Smith and Jigba carving out enough of a role in that offense. If everything we think about that offense is true, that they're going to run the ball a ton and Walker's going to be viable, and they're going to run the ball enough that Charbonnet is going to be viable, and DK is still a wide receiver 1, and Tyler Lockett's still got upside as a 30-year-old wide receiver. Like, if all of
Tyler Lockett and JSN are just going to ball out. I don't know who this other guy is. You're talking about,
I'm bringing Jake back on.
You can try. He won't come on as long as I'm here. That's why I'm safe. Akers, Christian Watson pick. Oh, that's the team he was listing before. So, gotta skip it. Option 1, CJ Stroud. I'm guessing option 2, Gibbs. If CJ Stroud is there, you take CJ Stroud. If one of the top 3 quarterbacks falls, you take that guy.
Option 3, Hill.
Hill. Who am I blanking on? Hill? Don't take Hill, whoever it is. Like, unless it's Tyreek Hill, I guess. Maybe it's a trade.
I don't know.
I would take CJ Stroud. I'm pretty confident. I think I have a chance of competing this year. It doesn't matter when you got a quarterback of that level on the board. I don't think in a Superflex rookie draft. That's the one positional acquiescence I'll give in rookie drafts, quarterbacks, and even then I won't do it over Bijan Robinson. So it's even then I did that. My 2 tight ends that I start are Kittle and Dalton in the flex. Again, I tried not to make rookie draft decisions based on what my team is or where my team's going. It can be a difference maker. Like, you really want to take quarterback, but you're really competitive, so you go Bijan Robinson. Cool, I get it. But it's only on those margins that are really considerate.
Yeah.
Sup, Pete? Not much, Genji. How about yourself? Sup, chat?
Oh, now I'm offended.
You don't get a high. Kevin, is Skyy Moore still a buy? He's never been a buy. I didn't like him his rookie year, and he has fallen dramatically in the sense that, you can get him for almost nothing now, and I would still recommend not doing it. Just let that die, probably. Sorry.
To quote
Kevin.
Admiral Akbar,
I mean, you can add him for free if he.
It's a trap.
It was a trap day 1. And Absolutely. It's sad because I like those smaller team, smaller conference players, but it just always was. Thanks for coming on. No problem at all. Thank you for coming on. Look at that. And Genji says, hell no. Yeah, there you go. He knows. Costi, hey Pete, I never know if any of you guys would like me to post my trades I got in the Discord. Would that be something I should add or just questions? You can post anything you like. Comments, questions, brags. I mean, we try to talk mostly Dynasty Fantasy Football, but we'll talk about anything fantasy related. And, quite often Zach and Russ get into a conversation about music where I shut up and do something on a spreadsheet for a while. So, yeah, we're just here to have fun, hang out, post whatever you like. As long as it's polite and not insulting someone else, I mean, that's fine by me. Equity loan. For smart people at the right price. I think he's talking about Skyy Moore, so there's some oxymoron going into that statement, but whatever. No, you did. I don't think so. Again, for nothing, sure, he's got draft capital, and that's the thing. For something? No, I'm not falling for the trap now. It's a year older, and I've seen that. I was more right than I was wrong, at least. Smart people already got off Skyy. Let's cool it with who's smart and who's dumb, okay? I drafted Corey Davis. I like N'Keal Harry. He's a dynasty dummy,
baby.
literally. It's not about smart or dumb. We literally don't know the future. That's what that means. And the only idiots I know are the ones who say they can predict the future. Nostradamus, complete fool, you know? We don't know for sure. Make the best bets we can. And there were reasons to like him, but we got that one right, so we'll ride with it. Sold low, probably the move. Sold high. I mean, that would of the two, the selling is the important part.
Sold.
Yeah, sold. MSERIJAN. I'm not even trying. Sorry. 12-team PPR, 1 QB. Which side do you like? ETN, the 503. That must be a startup pick, right? And a 24 fourth, or Miles Sanders, Ingram, a 24 second, and a 24 third. And those must be rookie picks. The 503 has got to be a startup pick, right? But at the same time, that makes that way too overbalanced.
No, I think it's. I don't think it's a startup pick. I think it's like the 2023 503. So we're going deep.
So it's ETN and by himself, basically, for Sanders, Ingram, and a second. I'd say that's the bulk of this trade. I don't think it's terrible. Probably ETN, but I think Bigsby's going to eat into that workload.
Value says
probably
ETN.
Seen the best year.
Value says ETN. I think points. I want, if I'm competing, I want the Sanders Ingram, but I do think your window to get out of them is already gone.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sanders has probably already had his best year. Sanders and Ingram probably do more to your bottom line if you're starting both versus just starting ETN. So if you're a competitive team, I get it. But I think you can get something shinier, something with value or future value potential, and similar, if not better, points in ETN. Because a lot of people really like him. So I like him too. I just don't think he's got quite the ceiling some do.
With ETN, if I am trading ETN, I am trying to get into a wide receiver, like one of those young, one of the Waddle, Devontae Smith.
Can you get 107?
Yeah.
Can you add a second and get the 107, 106? And
well, and it's one quarterback, so you got to get up to.
Okay, so you got to get at the fourth spot. Yeah. But I mean, that's generally the approach I'd take with someone like ETN. But if you know your league better, you know your team better, and if that's the best thing you can get out of ETN, I do think Sanders and Ingram probably help your bottom line and points per game more this year. But then if you don't win, you've immediately spent value on points and then didn't win, which is why in most dynasty cases I lean towards the value side, but you know your team and league better, so you have to make that decision. But that's the best rounding of which side is which right here, right now with that context. Then I can give shimmy. Which side? Give Jahmyr Gibbs and a 24 third, get Jahan Dotson and a 24 first. I think
I'd rather have Gibbs.
It's just Gibbs. Yeah.
As much as like Dotson is not a bad player, and I know that right now the hype is on. Well, and the hype is on him because reception perception just came out, and Matt Harmon graded his routes great. I think that's a lot of what you're seeing with Dotson's production was touchdowns.
Well, he also got routes. Again, it's the Alec Pierce argument. He got a lot of routes, and he'll probably still have a lot of routes, and he's pretty decent on them. He's just like his college profile. He's pretty good. It's fine. And he's got a top 24 ceiling. Reception perception is awesome too, though. So,
certainly. Yeah.
Whereas Gibbs can just be okay this year, and Dotson can be great, be good, top 24 wide receiver this year, and you can still trade Gibbs twice as much by the end of the year. And he's going to do more in a less replaceable position in most leagues and most formats than Dotson on the 24 first, but it's fine. Guys, thoughts on Kendre? I nearly drafted him. I had him and Roschon Johnson queued up as my next two picks, and they were like the next two picks off the board in the startup I was doing when my patrons are like, oh, okay, I'm a little too low. But he did fall, and I think that's a little underrated. I wasn't a big fan pre-draft, but he's definitely a rusher. He can definitely rush. He can definitely rush well. And that'll be starts as a rookie running back that we're probably underrating. It's New Orleans, right? Because the other thing is I draft Jamal Williams when I can't get him because, honestly, I love Jamal Williams. And he could also be that guy. They're looking for that running back 2 or mid running back 1 should Kamara's legal issues keep him off the field. And also, he's getting up there, so they're looking for someone to fill in the inevitable. Eventually, he's not available for one reason or another. And so I think they're both reasonable shots. I'd rather have Jamal Williams. He tends to go a little lower. That's what ended up happening to me in that startup. I got Jamal Williams. Someone else took Kendre Miller. But he did fall a little bit according to DLF ADP from April and DLF ranks from right now. So he might be somewhat of a value in your rookie drafts. Like after the Roschon Johnson has gone, personally I like Tank Bigsby. But in that range exists Kendre Miller. And if he's the one left, then I take him, and I feel pretty happy with that as well.
Yeah, I have that same tier of Roschon Johnson. I'm a little higher on Miller's potential as a between the tackles guy. So it's Roschon, Miller, then Bigsby, and then I'm down into like Charbonnet and Tyjae Spears, who are good, but
I still have Zach in that mix. But I like people called Zach. It's just a problem I have.
Fair.
But it's definitely a tier for me. I lean the guys with some better level of receiving production. But Kendre Miller was a better rusher than Tank Bigsby was. Or Tank Bigsby is an all-round player, to be honest with you. But Tank Bigsby is a good all-round player with a receiving skill set, and I lean that way just process-wise. But Kendre Miller showed more in the skill set that he's got for sure. So I could see preferring him over Zach in his situation because that same is true with Zach Charbonnet. So yeah, I could see leaning Kendre Miller. It's just I usually don't focus the rushers. But I mean, Chris Carson, talking of another Seahawk running back, tore this league up, especially at the value of getting him. And Kendre definitely beat that guy. Yeah. With more draft capital, to be fair.
Yeah,
when is the best time for a rookie draft? Currently just had a league vote to have it next Sunday, that date. Team league and commissioner shut it down, said no draft until at least mid-June. There's no... Okay, I got a lot of thoughts on this because I've argued with people about it online. Mainly the same argument I always have. Someone thinks there is a perfect time and everyone else is wrong, and I think there is none, but there's preferences and reasons for having different preferences. Because that's just the way I am. I like it after the rookie draft, after the NFL draft, because I like having that information. I like having all the information before I make a decision. But there's an argument for I'm really up to date before the draft, so I'm going to make better decisions than my league mates before the draft, and so I want it a little bit earlier, encourages engagement earlier in the season. Or in June, you get the preseason. Dameon Pierce became a target after we saw a season, and so you have even more information. So I take that mid-ground. I want to see the NFL draft, but I want to make some bets on who's actually going to impress in the pre-draft, in the preseason process, because I think I know their profiles better. But really, there's no exact answer. It's wherever everyone is most happy.
So the only problem I have with this entire question is the league voted to have it next Sunday, and the commissioner shut it down. To me, like
if the league votes, that's it.
If the league votes, you're there. Commissioner's doing things in the best interest of the league. But if the league has voted, that's the best interest of the league. But I don't necessarily.
No, that raises questions because that might be the type of commissioner who issues vetoes, and I'm out of a league for a commissioner that will just issue a veto.
But as far as you're like, when's a good time to have a rookie draft? The answer is yes. Like it's whenever you can get your league mates together to do it. I don't care if you're doing it. Like I have one that kicks off 2 weeks before the NFL draft. So after people have declared, but not the draft hasn't started, that's a Russ league because Russ likes to have fun like that. I've got one that started right after the NFL draft happened. I've got one that is taking place on June 3rd. So like there isn't a bad time to have one. But man, if your league voted and said this is when we want it, I have a hard time looking the commissioner in the face after he says, no, I want to do it now.
Yeah, that's a little awkward. But assuming you know your league mates and you know your commissioner, it's fine. I mean, be in the leagues you want, but that is kind of a red flag. I don't think commissioners should do that broadly, but it's not an easy job. We underrate it, so I'm not going to throw too much shade. But Genji got tanked the 207 and Kendre Miller at the 208. Pretty happy with that.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's a really solid draft.
Yep.
Especially like that you took Tank over Kendre, just because that's the way I have it. Todd, this may be a no-brainer, but would still like your input. No problem. In a 16-team Superflex, would you accept Chris Olave for your Ken Walker? Yes. I don't care. Yeah, Sam Howell on the 24-second. I want the Chris Olave side in this, and it's not really close.
Yeah, the only thing that could even potentially make that close is if they walk that tightrope and Sam Howell actually becomes a viable. Like Sam Howell was my quarterback one coming out last year.
Yeah, I remember. I like him as a prospect. Yeah,
I was really surprised.
Yeah,
I was really surprised he fell. I think that he's going to get a shot this year. It's still Olave. Like, don't get me wrong, Todd. This is Olave because there are a lot of chips that have to fall exactly right for this to be a miss for you getting Olave. But
yeah, I think the Sam Howell side needs Sam Howell to do that and do well enough. Not Jared Goff level. We're not talking Patrick Mahomes. For it to work out for them. If he does that, this will have been a fine trade. If he doesn't, this was a terrible trade. And if he does, you're still good. And I don't see a way this is a loss with the Chris Olave side. I like that a lot. Yeah. Have you noticed that Wilson's kind of crept up above Olave now? Earlier in the offseason, it was Olave clearly over Wilson, and people pointing out that Wilson was good. And now Wilson's clearly above Olave and making Olave a bit more interesting.
I mean, to me, Wilson has always been clearly above Olave. I know I'm not in the group of intelligent people that you talk to. There's that circle of them, and then I have been standing outside of that circle. I know, like JJ Zacharyson has been an Olave guy over Wilson, right. And I know that Harstead was an Olave guy over Wilson. So, like, I'm over here going, Garrett Wilson, yeah,
I think that's what's done it. A lot of big names talking about the two and how Wilson should be close to him. Instead, it's pushed him over him. And that's all I meant. Like, I'm good. I just play the value. I don't know it's good. No, I'm not big brain.
Well,
I think both were fairly, top 24 wide receivers.
I'm very bullish, but I'm very bullish on Garrett Wilson with the prospect of having one of the most efficient quarterbacks in. So you grinned at that. So who have been the most efficient wide receivers touchdown wise over the last for
touchdowns? Anyone playing with Aaron Rodgers?
Okay, so the reason Garrett Wilson wasn't better than he was last year is because he didn't score touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Add in efficiency of Aaron Rodgers, man, like that just is a recipe to me for Garrett Wilson to have a fantastic fantasy year. He's not necessarily going to do anything more with the targets in terms of like yards or targets or receptions. Like if he just does what he did, that's fine. But Aaron Rodgers is going to find him in the end zone more than whoever was Zach Wilson and who's your roller coaster there? I forget his name. Mike White, the Mike White roller coaster.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
I got a clip that says you want to ride the Mike White roller coaster. I've got it on my phone, Peter. Don't make me haul that out.
I believe you. I just they're just very reasonable stories that I don't go into. Like I hope for Garrett Wilson that DJ Moore can finally score touchdowns with the I mean that Julio can finally score touchdowns this year. Garrett Wilson can finally score touchdowns this year with a really efficient.
Oh, that's right. I forget that you're the
I just
quarterback
don't go
agnostic. It has nothing to do with the quarterback. The quarterbacks have nothing to do with it.
Plenty to do with the quarterback, but I don't think it's a predictive trend. I think it's.
I think it's so easy to see. I think it's so easy to see that a better quarterback makes for an easier job as a receiver. And
great.
and
Great.
that's what happened.
Can't wait to see it. Just once. It'd be nice. Wait.
Christian Watson. You saw it last year with Christian Watson.
Yep. And Devontae Adams, right?
Yeah.
But not MVS. And not Romeo Doubs. And not anyone but Randall Cobb is a wide receiver 2 with Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Just those two, right? Okay. Is this a good trade super flex? I get Barkley and Higgins and the 104, and he gets.
Hold on. You're being totally disingenuous with your entire process of receivers drive targets and good receivers drive targets, and then saying, "Well, the bad receivers didn't play as well." Well, of course,
no. That's what I'm saying.
They're not driving the target.
Wide receivers drive their usage.
You're either saying Garrett Wilson is a bad receiver and won't do well with Aaron Rodgers, or Garrett Wilson is going to do better with Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is a better. Like, you can't have it both ways.
I'm not. You're trying to have it both ways.
You are no.
You expect immediate change in Garrett Wilson's usage and for him to be efficient on it. I think he's going to drive targets and going to drive targets well. His red zone role shouldn't grow exponentially because Aaron Rodgers is there. Aaron Rodgers is efficient in the red zone, but not necessarily growing a wide receiver's opportunity in the red zone. I mean, it went to Robert Tonyan 1 year.
Okay.
Expecting a higher outcome because of a quarterback change is.
I'm expecting the Jets to score touchdowns. Is what I'm expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Because Aaron Rodgers is there. They did not score touchdowns last year.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Garrett Wilson is a top 12 wide receiver. He needs to hit that mark with that red zone increase that you're expecting. That's the mark you're trying to hit. And I'm saying, perfectly reasonable story. Makes sense. It's just a hell of a jump to expect. And it's not really proven to happen very often. Where was I? This one. Tyler Sperry, is this a good trade in Superflex? I got Barkley, Higgins, and the 104. He gets Bijan Robinson, Christian Kirk, and a third. Barkley and Higgins for Bijan Robinson, and Christian Kirk's fine chaser. I think it's a Barkley Higgins side, but I think it's pretty good.
Barkley Higgins and the 104. Yeah, I'd rather have Barkley Higgins and the 104. If it's a Superflex league, you get Barkley Higgins on a quarterback. That's a win. If it's a one quarterback league, you get Barkley Higgins and then
Addison.
Whoever's left over. Yeah, Addison.
JSN.
So I would rather have the Barkley Higgins side as much as it hurts giving up Bijan.
Yeah, I think I'm going to modify my answer. I said I think it's a good trade, but it's a good trade for you. It's pretty rough for them. Although they're getting Bijan Robinson, so I hate to say it's
not
bad.
Yeah.
But that's a lot. It's like the last one we saw. I get it, but I'd probably take the other side, and it's rare I'd take the other side in a one-on-one trade. Stickman87, in 10-team Superflex, what is the earliest you take Hendon Hooker? I'm probably not going to end up taking a lot of Hendon Hooker. He's in a range where I'm shopping for other things, but he's probably a pretty decent pick. What is he, like a third-round pick?
In a 10-team, yeah, he's probably like right at the cusp of like the 2-3 turn.
Like if one of those running backs hasn't turned up, or the tight end that I like hasn't fallen, or I haven't traded up to get one of those, and Hendon Hooker's a very fine pick. 301, it's fine.
I like Hendon Hooker, but you also have to understand that he was a third-round pick. He's going to sit behind. I can picture.
This is not a
sunsets in the east.
Jared Goff.
Goff, yeah, he's going to sit behind Goff, and he's coming off a knee injury. He's older. Like, there are a whole bunch of like little red flags with Hendon Hooker that make him a bad bet, but he's still a quarterback with potential to be a quarterback in a super flex. So by the time you get through, 24, 25, 26 picks, it's probably time to start looking at Hendon Hooker.
This is part of why I do terrible comps. Like, to my mind, goes straight to Ritter this year. not a comp to the player or the value or the situation. It's just as a fantasy asset, that's what I kind of expect. Like Hendon Hooker is going to sit there, and at some point there's going to be some buzz that he might be starting, and you get a window. His value doesn't really go down; it doesn't go up. He's just Hendon freaking Hooker that you can throw in a trade as a thing that someone might be interested in. And I don't expect a lot, even when that opportunity comes up. I think he could be fine. But we're not expecting like a revolutionary Dak Prescott type quarterback arc or anything. And so, yeah, he's just in a super flex. He's that backup quarterback who was most recently drafted with, actually terrible draft capital for the quarterback position. But he's fine to roster, and people will always treat him that way. So you're not losing by taking him. Does this make sense? Ridder might be an upside comp, honestly, in terms of his fantasy value arc, but he's fine. Like, especially after that running back segment we are just talking about are gone and all the tight ends are gone. Why not take Hendon Hooker over some distant wide receiver who's probably going to immediately lose value unless he does something?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is the bet on Hendon Hooker, and the reason why Ridder is probably the high end comp is because Ridder is going to have a job,
getting the job,
like he's going to play, and so you're hoping that Hendon Hooker has that, because if Hendon Hooker has that, all of a sudden he's got super flex value.
Someone's like, oh, maybe I'll throw it at him.
But like, there's a lot more chance of Hendon Hooker getting super flex value than there is in a lot of those back end, wide receivers.
Yeah.
And
it's just even if he does nothing this year, he'll still be, that Hendon Hooker. We'll think of him the exact same way this time in a year. Whereas any wide receiver you can draft in that range is probably going to fall. Although there will be a few hits at running back, wide receiver, and tight end. But we have trouble predicting them. We have our favorites. And once our favorites are gone, like, why not just take the sure thing? If nothing else, you're getting value in the sense of, team names. If you like doing pun team names, you're set for the rest of your roster. So, career. Like round 3, yes. Saw someone trade their 24 first for the 111 to take Jaden Reed. Oh, that's a JJ Zacharyson bump again. I like Reed's profile. I thought he was pretty decent. I mentioned him fairly early on. He faded in my process as I looked at other players, but especially with draft capital, I don't think it's a bad pick. I wouldn't take him in the first round, man. It's not with like Rashee Rice or even Tillman down there with a more draft pre-buzz, some more positives on their profile. Like Jaden Reed seems like a reach despite the draft cap.
And that you said it's not a bad pick. Like, I don't mind taking Jaden Reed.
Well,
but at the 111,
not at the 111.
You gotta play a little bit of the ADP game and a little bit of like your league and I mean, that was like Justin Jefferson
come up to get Kincaid. Like, again, that's I offer it to everyone. I'm the player I really want further back. Give me a third, trade back a spot. Give me a second next year, trade back 5 spots, whatever.
Like Justin Jefferson and AJ Brown would have been great picks at the 101 or 102 in their draft classes. Yeah. But they were unbelievable picks when you could get them at 109, 110, 111. And so that's the value, and that's the Jaden Reed may be a good pick. He may be a good player. Like, I don't dislike him. I think he can line up all over the place. He can play out of the slot. He can play split out wide. He's really good at attacking zones, and he can attack them with slants with speed, but he also does a good job finding holes in between the levels. Like, he's not a bad player. He does too much post catch, like running side to side instead of like actually going vertically up the field. I think he body catches a little bit. I think he gets bothered by physicality. So like, there are warts. He's not a bad player. He got draft capital, but trading up and saying, I'm going to take him 12 picks ahead of where anyone else will touch him. You're flag
Here's
planning.
The thing, like,
you're missing out.
I like flag planning and take your guy by all means, but I think this is a buzz pick. This is one you get wrong even if you're right. Jaden Reed can be better than even I expect, or JJ Zacharyson expects, and it's just like Marvin Mims can be taken at that spot. Much better profile, and I think JJ would agree with that, by the way. And he's the only one with a big name, by the way. I've heard him pointing out Jaden Reed.
Harmon.
There might
Harmon pointed him out too. Yep.
Other people probably are as well, because it's a smart with his draft capital and his somewhat decent profile where he's going in rookie drafts is smart. smart to point them out. But all of them would agree Marvin Mims is a better pick with draft capital. So, like, this is even if you hit, you kind of went too hard in the source. But again, it's your team. You should really always take your guy as long as you offer trades to get back. Instead, he looks like he's offered a trade to get up to overdraft someone. That just seems like burning too much. But it's his team. It's his team. I've seen so much variance in how industry sees Jaden Reed. Yeah, that's fair. And I think we just went through some of that. I think it's because we get excited, especially when we hear like these really smart people get so much so right. They're probably right, Jaden Reed. But I used to do this a lot. That's why I started making a lot more content based around it. Sometimes, and I did this, I've done this with things Zach has said numerous times. We hear what we want to hear. Oh, that's the sleeper. So if I trade up to get him, then I'm the smart guy who gets that. And it doesn't matter that I've ever drafted him. I think if you go back and listen to those smart industry people who are saying that kind of thing, you'll hear buzzwords like Marvin Mims in the third round, too low. You won't hear them say, make sure you take him over Dalton Kincaid, and make sure you take him over Marvin Mims, make sure you take him over Cedric Tillman. He's a smart pick where he is, or even slightly above it. Again, playing that ADP game a little bit. And there are just better shots. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, bring me the head of the one who isn't, but the industry people, whoever they are, were arguing from, I doubt very many would say that Mims isn't a better pick, and he's definitely available at 111. And a lot, including me, would say Kincaid's a better pick. Zachary would never draft Dalton Kincaid in the late first round, so he would not.
Not in the first.
And on Laporta, he could easily be a tight end one. That's a reach, but it's a reach with much closer to his actual ADP than Jaden Reed.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I'm at the 111 or 112, and I am in the Russ, the outhouse leagues, the trade addicts leagues that are 1.75 premium, I would much rather spend a pick on Laporta or Mayer or even Kincaid than Jaden Reed.
Right. Again, and I peered real closely at Jaden Reed's profile because he turned up early for him. I liked his breakout age. I liked some of his metrics. And here's the thing. There is not a single thing I can find to say that Marvin Mims is a worse prospect.
Right.
Both have draft capital. I think, didn't Mims get more draft capital?
Mims was in the second. Yeah, Mims was in the late second, 63rd overall. And
again, take your guy. I always do that. Yeah. The only danger is that
Reed got taken ahead of him. Reed got taken at 50.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But
the only danger is you insert something that if it works out, then it becomes cardio process, and you start drafting buzz over making decisions on how well players have done. But if it hits, it's gonna feel good. So always take your guy. But that's what I'd say about it. And I think that's why there's such disparity. Like again, those smart people, they're gonna talk about it in context. And sometimes we don't really want to hear the context. I did this. What was I thinking about with you? Like I was really racked over someone, and I asked you, and you said you didn't say negative things. You said he's fine. I like him, and I took that to mean, oh, it's great. And so I ended up getting him everywhere. And then going back, we were talking about him. You were like, well, I had him below this guy and this guy and this guy, and I was like, I didn't realize that for some reason. And we did a podcast together. I literally remember asking you about that player specifically. And when I went back and listened to it, you were saying the same thing, but all I heard was, oh, it's positive, therefore I should definitely draft him. And I really wish I could remember who it was. It'll come to me later. But yeah, sometimes we don't hear the context because we get excited about finding that value, that player that all the smart guys and people are drafting. I used to do it a lot. Now I've just stopped listening to people mostly. Fields. Evening, fellas. We know vacated targets aren't a thing. I appreciate you. But I've been hearing a lot of analysis recently about vacated touches. Yeah, that's not recently. That was always synonymous with the idea of vacated targets. I maintain, show me the data, show me where it works. Because they aren't a thing, but I've never said it's not good or useful. It's really hard data to track, by the way. Like I want to, like the analysts talking about it, they have to do work. Even if it's coding, it's still, trying to have the indicators to find negative space, essentially. is actually a little bit extra work, even for those who code. So, like, I want to respect the people looking at it. I just wish they'd look at it and show me where the trend is, because it makes sense. But when we project breakouts based on it, it doesn't work. When we project volume increases, specifically in terms of how it's related to fantasy football players who might have higher upside, it doesn't work. Now, it might work better for best ball because those one-off instances or that slight increase by the running back floor actually does something. And it definitely helps with projections because the smart projectors I know are already aware of it. So it's helping with making good projections. Like Mike Clay, John Paulson, both have been thinking that way for even before it became popular in our little space. But I don't think they're projecting, therefore, Corey Davis, therefore, this guy will be a top 24 wide receiver. It just helps with the overall estimation of next year's volume. And that doesn't directly correlate into actionable fantasy football takes, even if it's actionable projection takes, if that makes sense. And vacated touches, I found nothing to help me and I with running backs any more than targets. Outside of the generic stuff that we already know, running back is more next man up than ever before. But like even then we know like Alexander Madison, who's a decent back, and like every time Dalvin Cook was injured, we expected something. And he didn't do it so perpetually that it became like a best ball nightmare. And yet then we saw him actually be a decent back with touches again. So even when it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Actionable fantasy football, like especially full season leagues or dynasty, there doesn't be any strong things I can take away from it, but it's definitely a very interesting space. So they aren't real, but it's not something you should ignore, if you know what I mean. I just don't think most of the actions suggested from it have paid off. And there's no connection to breakouts or direct 20-25% target shares that relate, or 50% running back touch shares outside of the generic stuff that we already know. Running back is more next man up, and wide receiver seems to be a little bit more of a, well, it's definitely more of a balance between who the wide receiver is and who the quarterback is, and there's no direct path into understanding that without having seen it play out before. But yeah, it's poppycock. I will actively say it's poppycock. I will take that side of the argument. I just want you to know, because I actually try to make stuff like, I don't want to tell you, oh, just ignore it, because there are smart people talking about it. But I think most of the actionable advice giving on it is kind of wing and a prayer stuff. Like it doesn't hold true when you look at the history, but it makes sense.
It's good to have it's good to roster a good running back who doesn't have other good running backs in his backfield.
And that's yeah.
Like that,
we know that, really, you know,
like that's really what they're talking about with vacated touches. It's if there aren't other good running backs in the backfield, and there is a good running back there, that's a good thing. I mean, but they're dressing it up to sound fancy.
I think the problem with the data or finding actual takes is it's probably too nuanced. We want an A plus B equals C thing. We want a Pythagorean theorem that we can all work out and figure out. I don't think it's ever going to be that simple because reality's complicated. And even when you're right, you can be wrong because reality. So that's why it helps with projections a lot, apparently, but not so much with tracking breakouts. Because what I saw the minute I started putting out data on vacated targets and how the history really didn't bear out to the idea of it was vacated touches. And then when I pointed out the same thing was true with there, apart from the generic, it was, well, what about tight ends? And then what about running back targets? They just want to switch it over to another 1 + 1 = 2 equation. And I just don't think it's reality works that neatly. Certainly if you want, signal or something that you can bet on an above average rate happening. With deeper picks, sure, you take the narratives that make sense to you or the difference makers that whatever. Mostly I go positional hit rate trends there, but I mean, fine. Anyway, John Deaton, what's the top 5 most undervalued wide receivers? I have a list.
You do?
Yeah, I've been tracking that. I got to write that article in tonight. But it'll take me a second to pull up. My stream might crash, so you know. Yeah. The top 5 most undervalued wide receivers according to DLF. Now that's looking at all draft picks versus ADP, and ADP is currently behind, and so there's There are some things based on the draft that it doesn't account for. But DLF rankers are highest on, and let's say within the top 100 picks. Why not? Because we don't want to talk about, really no name. Zay Flowers, but that's a draft thing. DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, Jordan Addison, but that's I tell you what. Let me take the rookies out of this because ADP hasn't been.
Oh, but I think Addison's. I think you're hitting it with Addison.
Yeah, me too. Metcalf, AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel, Treylon Burks, and then Jerry Jeudy.
Yes,
those are the 5 wide receivers that DLF rankers are taking significantly higher than ADP. When you looking at my ranks, should I look versus consensus or versus ADP? Let's do ADP. Who am I targeting the most? Apparently, when you look at my ranks and compare it to ADP, with inside the top 100, Jalen Waddle, taking rookies out. Jalen Waddle, Marcus Brown, DK Metcalf, Treylon Burks, so a lot of crossover there, and then Tyreek Hill. I'm probably a little too high on Tyreek Hill.
To me, it's like Burks is the obvious one, and that's been kind of the crossover. Like I just kind of scanned down through. It's Addison who you took rookies out. I think Deontay Johnson is being undervalued because he didn't score touchdowns at all last year. Like that can't be a thing. Like it can't be a thing. I think Juju is pretty undervalued right now. Because I think he will be the number 1 target in New England. Rashee Rice, that doesn't matter because he's a rookie, but he's down around like wide receiver 50 right now, which seems a little bit nuts for a guy who could potentially be the 2nd target in Kansas City. And
you want to go deep? I get it. If you want to talk about my top 5 undervalued wide receivers outside at any pick, Waddle again, Marcus Brown, Mike Evans, I think is drastically undervalued right now. Juju Smith-Schuster, DK Metcalf.
Do you think Devontae Adams is being undervalued for his points? Like he's going like wide receiver 16, 17, 18, somewhere in that range, and he's going to be again the bull of the woods. I mean, that's just kind of what he does.
ADP hasn't updated. I think he was overvalued last year. He's the Tyreek Hill of this year for me. Someone I know people are going to get more squishy on this time next year. And it's one of those 4 teams that need points, exactly like you said. Yep. Like if you're a competitive team, it's an undervalue.
It's the cup Devontae Adams, but you have to be the right team to be taking those guys on because they're 30.
If you want to go really deep, we're pretty deep into that startup draft. We're into round 12, which is definitely sleeper territory for me. Like I'm less interested in everyone for the last 3 rounds. Players that standing out to me that aren't rookies, Jacoby Myers. I know, but I'm interested even with the team switch. He moved teams. Stood out to me a little bit. Mike Evans was on the board way too long, but I've already mentioned that. And who else was standing out to me? I was looking at Bijan Robinson. Everyone's forgotten about the favorite 2nd round value now because we've got a new rookie draft class. I mean, that's pretty deep, but I don't mind that. And Romeo Doubs, who is a question mark around Christian Watson, by the way, because Christian Watson went off specifically when Romeo Doubs became unavailable. Like that's when he had his production. Maybe he was injured. Maybe it just took a while to work into the offense like a regular rookie, and that's where I have Watson ranked. But it also timed really well for Romeo Doubs just suddenly not being available. So, real deep, sleepers suck, but those are the names that stood out to me so far. How do you value trades for wide receiver in start 3 wide receiver PPR with 2 flex spots? Extra hard is the answer. Do you like 2 wide receiver? Deontay Johnson, should have said that but like Zach said, Deontay Johnson's really good value right now. Ayuk, etc. Ayuk's back up, so it's kind of hard to value him, but he's probably in a decent value. His value is fine right now, put it that way. Go for a first. I think Deontay Johnson, where his ADP is, he trades for less than a first, or not a first, but something that adds up to a first. I think he's cheaper in trades than Ayuk, put it that way. So Deontay Johnson's the first one I'd send offers on. Ayuk, on the other hand, you're definitely going to have to give up that 108 to 112 range, which would be fine, in my opinion, because you're outside that top 7 in a super flex.
Yeah.
That's fine. But that's where I'd put all those wide receivers that, going to be top 24 wide receivers, a little undervalued because of age or post-hype breakout, or but they have been good before. The 108 to the 112 in a super flex is kind of where I put their value at. Now in a league that specifically is start 2 flex spots with 3 wide receivers, that wide receivers are particularly useful in the flex spots, and so are tight ends are a little underrated there, a little bit, especially when you get deep into wide receivers. Then personally, I think they carry a little bit more value, but this is about a rookie draft class, and the 108 is still where I probably draw.
It's a 12 team. So is in a startup, a 12-team startup, but talking, should I trade a first to go get these players? I think at least that's how I read it.
A startup, I don't think.
And again, like
Johnson.
But a 3 wide receiver, you have to start 3 wide receivers plus 2 flexes. So now you're down 36 wide receivers before you even get to a flex spot. So you're into the lightning round at that point where the top end wide receivers become really valuable.
And again, just side note, tight end is a little deeper than usual, not for the ones that matter generally to flex spots, where your flex spots are deeper anyway. Just a little note in your cap. Those top 12 wide tight ends that no one really cares about, somewhat more flex viable when you get to the top 50 receivers starting in your flex spots, I have a list somewhere that I've posted on Twitter and wrote up on Patreon about where that crossover is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but tight ends, especially top 12 tight ends, definitely become viable versus wide receivers outside the top 36. And so, if you see a falling tight end value and Evan Ingram gets drafted remarkably low, the tight ends in this draft class can be snagged up in a pretty reasonable range in a startup. I just keep an eye out for them if there's one you like. I'd say that as well. Burks, Ayuk, Hollywood, and Deontay those are good names. That's mostly who I came up with. I will also throw in Juju, I guess, is the other name that came up. Deebo Samuel is continually one that comes up for me. Very hit and miss pick, but he's a unicorn across the board in production trends and breakout arcs, and even in his college profile. So that's fine by me. I think he's got upside where it's going. I don't care that he's got a low ADP because, that's just what he does. Ryan C. Any moves to gain capital or liquidity post rookie draft? Any that occur to you? Things that you try to do to get more things that are more tradable to more players? I think once a rookie draft is done, you're just left with players. And so you're just looking for the best value moves. In the rookie draft, there was plenty you can do if you're a building team, like trading into 25 picks or 24 picks, or trading back just to trade back because you're not building. And Zach constantly talks about trading running backs into young wide receivers. That's a liquidity move. I talk about targeting the tight end position. Zach's also talked about targeting those top 5 quarterbacks. They become much more liquidity,
especially in one quarterback. But yes,
yeah, exactly. Because people underrate it a little bit because it's one quarterback and we know not to value them, which is true. But sometimes it goes a little bit too far. As JJ Zacharyson, the late round QB guy, has pointed out over recent. How long ago was that? It was a couple of months ago. He started talking about how the market had caught up, and so he'd started ranking some quarterbacks a little bit higher than he used to because of the trend that you were talking about.
And the thing that the cool thing about his late round quarterback strategy is it doesn't specify the round you need to take them in. So if quarterbacks go early, late round may be the second round.
Exactly. That's what he was talking about.
So
late
it's a matter of it's a sliding scale. It's a matter of shifting and again, this is the sort of thing where like your liquidity happens with rookie picks. Like that literally is that's how to be the most fluid, because the rookie picks appeal to the most number of teams because everybody wants rookie picks. Like that's everybody has their players they want to go get. So once you have moved past the rookie draft, you're waiting for buzz. You're waiting for rookie camps, training camps. You're waiting for preseason games. Right now, I think probably the move is to acquire the players that people haven't been talking about that you can identify that
go post hype
that they will. Yeah, and so that's kind of where you're at now.
Jaden Reed's probably a good name in that regard. If in your league he is, as Kosty says, he's been falling into third round. I would say you can draft him higher than that. I'm just saying because of the type of profile and why we're drafting him, mostly draft capital, partly production profile. After that running back tier, after the tight ends are gone, have open fire, free fire. You can go for Rashee Rice. You can go for Jalen Hyatt. You can go for Cedric Tillman. You can go for Jaden Reed. I'm just saying I would at the late second round. I'm just saying after that Roschon Johnson tier is gone and the tight ends in the early second round, that's when you just kind of start taking your guy. Now, after that round, for wide receiver, after that round is where wide receivers are mostly the bust picks and you should lean running back and tight end, which is why I'll put those guys above them. And then it's just kind of free fire, and then I'll go back to harping on positional hit rates and running back and tight end where I can. But if I have a favorite guy, I've been thinking about Cedric Tillman a little bit, or Jalen Hyatt. Redraft really likes Jalen Hyatt right now. I don't, but where he's going, sure. After that tier, he could be the value there. Rashee Rice, I saw Evan Silva, no less, talking about Rashee Rice. And Zach Reed mentioned him before anyone else did, as far as I know. So you can make exceptions for those positional hit rates, but make sure the running backs that you really like in that tier. You don't have to like all the ones I do, but if you're a big fan of Roschon Johnson, just make sure he's gone before you start taking those longer distance shots on the wide receivers in the late second. But to be fair, late second, who's come from the late second? I think Juju was higher. I think Cooper Kupp might have been a late second round pick in DLF ADP. There are hits there, and you don't want to not take your guy and just stick. For me personally, I'll make sure that tier of running backs, the ones I like in that tier, and the quarter and the tight ends are gone, and then it's open fire on the rookie profiles that I like. That's why I've got Tank Dell around about that mid 2.5. I'm going to take the running backs, make sure the quarter tight ends again, and I'm going to go take Josh Downs. Sorry, then I'm going to take Josh Downs. But if Reed is your guy, if Rashee Rice is your guy, you can take him. I would suggest taking him even that high. Third round is a great value for any of those guys if you really like them. And Mims shouldn't be falling there at all. Mims is someone that you could even consider slightly above that tier, or at least in line with it. Yeah. Do you think Eric? I can't say that. Zach, help. Bieniemy will improve the Commanders' offense. It must be a coach, right? Or an offensive coordinator.
Offensive coordinator. Yep.
He's passed over several times for head coaching positions. I hate to hear that. A chance to prove he dominates. I don't know. I don't track coaches or offensive coordinators outside of the big names. I don't.
Really Bieniemy's been with the Chiefs for the
pretty positive resume.
I think. And maybe, that's the thing is we don't know. You had a bunch of guys go from underneath Andy Reid to offenses, and you were hoping to get excited about Chicago's offense, for a while, and you were hoping to get excited about Green Bay's offense for a while, and it was just it's not. They're not Andy Reid. They're just not. And I hope Bieniemy opens up the Commanders' offense. And we talked about underrated receivers, and that could be a place that. No, not.
Oh, I thought you were doing your Hardman takes to the Chiefs, but yeah.
No. With Washington, McLaurin.
Sorry. Again, I forgot you were asking for a name. I was busy.
No. So the fact that they could open that offense up a little bit, the fact that we like ostensibly the quarterback situation there. Bieniemy is a wild card. You don't know what's going to happen, but he could end up being very successful. We're cheering for that. The more The more high-powered offensive teams in the NFL, the better it is for fantasy. The more players succeed, the better it is for fantasy. So, like, we're always cheering for offensive coordinators to come in and Brian Daboll this thing. Like, let's go.
I'm officially a player fan, and I'd rather bet in player arcs, because if a narrative doesn't work more than 50% of the time, then the best I can say is we got lucky with that kind of thing, and that's as good as I've been able to do with coaching narratives and stuff. But positive is positive, and I'm not going to throw shade at a guy who's good at his job. That's awesome. That's awesome for us as well. Like Zach was saying, more points, good thing. Give me more players, more top 24 wide receivers. I don't care that there can only be top 24 of them. Give me 30, what I was going to say is I spent more time thinking about the Washington backfield, like Antonio Gibson, a little post-hype, going through an ankle surgery, I think I recently read. And then you got Bijan Robinson, who was an interesting prospect and had that wild ride in his intro that we're definitely rooting for him after that horrible mess. And I haven't come up with a lot of strong takeaways, but they are deep into drafts, man, and they're just interesting for the replaceability of running back points. I'm always shopping for them, where I tend to be a bit more wide receiver heavy anyway. It's an interesting backfield. If that team does better, that running back backfield is interesting as well.
I really need the resurgence of Gibson so I can trade him. I got him in a couple of places. Yeah.
Let's go lower drafted running back. Let's go. John Deaton, a chance to prove he dominates offensive coach. Yeah, appreciate it.
But I think
he would be trading for Tyreek Hill. That makes sense. Would you take Tyreek Hill over that list that we saw?
What was the list? I still think you want the quarterback.
That's
because it was Stroud. Yeah. Although maybe
Stroud.
No, you know what? Let's take Hill over Stroud. I want Tyreek Hill. Let's go with the points.
All right, I respect it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really the right. It depends on your team too, Lincoln. If your team is not competitive, then Tyreek Hill doesn't help you. He's already said, I'm only playing 3 more years. It's going to scare off the trade value, regardless of whether he actually plays just 3 more years. People are going to worry about that.
Alex, I forgot to mention, also got 24 first in addition to the 101. Figured the 324 first, the fact this league is all. An extra first helps a lot. That was a Bijan Robinson trade where we were kind of on the other side. Garrett Wilson and Saquon Barkley, but he got an extra first on the other side. That helps balance it for sure. It's probably still late on the other side, but it's fine. And much more fine, put it that way. Lincoln was here. In the same league today, I traded A.J. Brown and Hurts. Gave up the 102, Amon-Ra, Tony, and Devontae Smith. Did I overpay too much, or did I do good?
I like getting Hurts and A.J. Brown for the 102. Yeah.
Like got the 102, Tony.
The 102 you're hoping is Hurts.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're doing with Robinson. Or not Robinson. Richardson.
I would say Devontae Smith plus what was I going to say here? AJ Brown is equal to Amon-Ra, and I prefer AJ Brown, so there's a little bit of plus. Whatever, let's call that Tony. I don't value him, but sure. Yeah. Hurts is better than the 102 and Devontae Smith.
Yep.
So,
yeah. No, that's a win.
I like it. So an IDP where someone will start an linebacker, right? LB, run the second round. I'll be able to gamble on Richardson. Now, IDP does affect, and depending on how strong your scoring is, it can really affect ADP. So you have to modify anything we say to what your league actually is. To be fair, but you're right. If IDP players are being taken, the ADP changes. So that makes sense. John, since New York Giants brought in 80 wide receivers this offseason, which do you think would be the most likely to be fantasy relevant? Wandale, Slayton, Hyatt, Hodges, Campbell, Shepard, and Crowd. I think it's been Wandale, Robinson, Hyatt, and Waller. And like I said, Wandale Robinson is dropping to a really interesting place. So him and Waller are the best buy-ins right now, I think. But even Hyatt's interesting. You got to remember that not all teams have top 24 wide receivers. I mean, there's only 24 of them. There are 32 teams. And then you've got the fact that about 4 teams every year produce 2 top 24 wide receivers. This year, again, you can have Hill, you can have Waddle, you can have Higgins, you can have Chase. So it's
You're going to have Jefferson and Addison.
Very much on the cards, now more than ever, actually, that Giants don't produce a top 24 wide receiver. Top 36, I think there's some viability to Wandell. Hyatt's an interesting, he might do something, therefore you get a value bump. But I think Waller would be, if I was playing redraft, Waller would be the one I'd really target. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the Giants wide receivers are going to be cheap enough that, if you add 2 or 3 of them and then like play matchup, like again, that's what I did last year at the end of the year last year. Oh, actually, about week 8, I looked at waiver wires, and on the waiver wires were like Hodgins, Slayton, and Richie James. Like all 3 of those guys were on the waiver wire, and so I just picked the 3 of them up. And so I got Slayton, Hodgins, Richie James, and all of a sudden they were scoring. And you're just like, oh, okay, well, this week it's going to be Richie James and Hodgins because of the mat. And you're just like, so then that's where I start listening to DFS guys. And like I have like 2 or 3 that I really listen to. And so you start figuring out matchups and DFS plays. And then that's my flex play. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to flex play for upside.
I would say the best dynasty move is probably Daniel Jones if you want into that receiving courts, because again, he got paid. I don't like valuing Daniel Jones. I hate having missed, but he did good last year. We just have to take that L. We didn't think he could do as good as he did last year, and the team appreciated it. They did try and improve his receiving core. If scattershot spaghetti approach it is, as you point out, John. But people are still squishy on it. I'm still squishy on him, and but if you want into those receiving points, and to your point, he made those 3 wide receivers viable, and his wide receivers and now Darren Waller make it better. So, like, if I wanted in Dynasty, Waller's a pretty good bet. Wandell's a pretty good bet. Hyatt is where he is in his rookie draft, but it's probably Daniel Jones long term. Nice, I like it. Lincoln was here. Thanks for talking to each other, guys. It makes it more fun. Chicago Scott, what are your thoughts on Sean Tucker? Great value. Just in a rookie draft, you can take him in the 3rd round. He's projected in the 4th round. It's all medical, which we have no answers for, in my opinion. And while he was at the end of that tier for me that we've got in the early 2nd round in terms of the pre-draft profiles. He was in there. The hype wasn't based on nothing. My main thoughts are I hope those medical issues are overblown, especially if he plays in the NFL, because that's dangerous, and I don't want anyone, I don't want him to get hurt. But, I mean.
So, I wasn't in on Tucker as much in the pre-draft process. And what, like, the medical condition is, he had a congenital heart defect. Right. And so, again, with him falling all the way through the draft, like, it's a 4th round, like, fine. Go spend a 4th round pick on him. I hope he's healthy and I hope he plays well. But you got to understand that a 4th round pick is, I don't have it off the top of my head, but like a 6
single digit.
It's not your chances of hitting on that are not great. Your chances of hitting on a running back with a pass catching profile is better than not.
And draft capital matters even less. The deeper you go, the less you should be worried he's an undrafted free agent when you take him in the 4th. It should matter more that he's a running back than where he was drafted, which he is. Because, he can have a game or just a lead up to a week where we expect him to start, and suddenly he's a viable trade piece. And if nothing else, there are micro markets you can try and take advantage of. Hopefully there's more than that, but that's something with running back. Anyone else think Mayer is still the tight end 1?
Hold on. I have homework for the chat. No. Between this week and next week, I need you to go to either your favorite dictionary website or that dusty shelf in the back of your living room that has the dictionary on it. I want you to look up the definition of still, because I don't think that means what you think it means. Like, he wasn't the tight end 1 before the draft. Still not the tight end one after the draft, but Mayer's fine. Like, he's not a bad tight end. I don't mind drafting him. I would rather have him than Kincaid, to your point, Gavin. I still would rather have Laporta over both of them. But I think all three of them are very, very good bets.
I think that's the best way of saying it. They're all very, very solid bets.
Yeah.
And I had him as a tight end one before the draft, to be fair, so it would still be a steal for me, but he's not still tight end one. It's Kincaid, then Laporta, then Mayer. Laporta is still the second tight end I would draft if that helps, so he's stayed the same. But I have Kincaid one now. Tight end is less dependent on draft capital for absolute ceiling, but for likelihood of hitting, Kincaid's got it. And Mayer looked like as solid as a solid tight end profile can look. He looked like, I mean, if Jason Witten could be a rookie profile yet not be Jason Witten as a player, then it would be Mayer. So yeah, especially where he's going, I got no qualms about taking him in a rookie draft, even though he's a tight end and likely to do too much in year one as the narrative goes.
I mean, what was it?
I was going to say Josh Weil, just throwing that name out every time I answer. Like, he's probably going to do nothing. He's my D'Angelo Yancey. No, wait, that was before. He's my Kenny Yeboah of this year's class. He's a tight end out there.
For me, it's Tucker Kraft. That's a good one. Like good third round Tucker Kraft. Like, let's go.
That's solid. Josh Weil was even deeper than that. So, again, he's my Yeboah of this year's class. I don't mind taking shots at those deep tight ends myself. Gavin Ferguson, and Vegas is a better landing spot than Buffalo, in my opinion. I missed something.
For Vegas for Mayer and Buffalo for Kincaid. Yeah. I tend to agree with that, although I'm in the minority. Even though Buffalo is a better offense, I think that
it's closer to the Super Bowl, to put it away.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah, it is. Come on. But no, I don't mind that take at all. Generally, I try not to think about landing spot too much.
Yeah.
But I think both are solid landing spots, and that's as good as I need, you know. Who are some undrafted free agents you're targeting after your rookie draft? Jake Hayner, or however you say his name, apologies to his mother. Solid quarterback ad and super flex, I guess, if you got a deep enough bench. Mohamed Ibrahim, I wasn't really in on him early, but he's a running back, and so I'm kind of in on all of those guys. Hey, buddy.
Hey, there he is.
Sorry, I had to kick some butt on Dynasty Game Night, and they just took freaking forever.
Dynasty Game Night.
Oh, yeah, we sang that on the
Game Night.
Do you have any undrafted free agent targets after your rookie draft?
Yeah.
Well, are we talking like NFL undrafted or?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. The only two I have ranked are Sean Tucker and Mohamed Ibrahim, so I'm going to say those two.
I've noticed Xavier Hutchinson going undrafted in rookie drafts, and I've grabbed him on 2 waiver wires.
Yeah, that's wild. I don't know what I've done.
I haven't gotten to that point in my rookie draft, so I can't say I've literally done it. But those are the two that I have ranked recently.
I added Chris Rodriguez, Ronnie Bell, Clayton
Bell's interesting.
And Demario Douglas after a rookie draft. Demario Douglas, Peter, you've got to love Demario Douglas. He's like this tall.
Okay, all right, settle down. Now, Ronnie Bell is someone I like pre-draft, so I'll throw him on my list too. Undrafted free agents is a slower game. I want to see who lands on rosters, who keeps their roster spot through the pre-draft process. They don't even have to have so much buzz. They just catch and maintain a roster spot. There tend to be players I look at more in their second season, much like tight end. So Justin Ross might be a deeper draft prospect from last year that I'm still interested in. So my mind's more in the 2022 class in that regard. Outside of running back, sorry, and maybe Josh Weil. How you doing, Russ?
I'm good. I'm ready to go to bed. No, I'm ready to answer some questions and do stuff and talk about stuff. And
Russ always brings the energy we need.
I am very good at doing absolutely nothing.
There you
Which
go.
also might be the start of the article I wrote today for my trading post, which was supposed to be done yesterday that I forgot to do yesterday.
I have to do one of those tonight, so same.
Yeah, I just did it this way. I'm like, screw it. I'm not staying awake after Trade Addicts to write an article. I did that once and it was awful. So I went to bed and I woke up and I wrote it in the morning.
Yeah, I've tried doing that, but I can't always guarantee I'm going to be up early enough to do that and go to work. So, would you like to answer a question for Gavin? Maybe. Gavin's pretty cool. Gavin's a cool guy. Hawkinson and Lockett both got 22% target share last year. Where are you on who has the clearest path to significant role between Addison and JSN? It's Addison.
It's Addison.
Very, very easily Addison.
Yeah, they specifically drafted. I had hope for Josh Palmer, and I still think he's a pretty decent prospect and did pretty decently last year, but the teams clearly just replaced him with one of the best rookie wide receiver prospects I've ever seen. So I think that's a clear intention, and I think Addison can easily step into whatever role they want. And I recently spoke to some Fantasy Pros guys who do a Fantasy Pros podcast. I'm not on the podcast because apparently my video and audio suck so much they can't use it. I don't know if that's what I said or my internet, one or the other. It's kind of a coin toss. And they, especially in a redraft mindset, are thinking of Addison as filling in as a Mike Williams, a spot starter range, someone who's going to flash in games but not.
Have you?
Which to me means they do not know who Addison is.
Have you put Addison on the Chargers, like in your mind, like that's where you put him? Because he's in Minnesota.
Sorry, I said Mike Williams.
I'm sitting here trying to think, wait, did Josh Palmer get moved? And I don't
Mike Williams type role in Minnesota. Sorry, that's the way they were speaking of him, and I don't get it. I think Addison's a full-time player much earlier than most rookies, and on that chart, they can definitely use it.
I know who you spoke to. I'm on your side.
I'm with
Addison you. Addison is you'd be fine.
Absolutely.
Herbert or Jefferson in a 12-team Superflex draft? Justin Herbert?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Herbert.
Yep.
Which stinks because I love.
If that's Khalil Herbert, that's even easier. But yeah, it's Justin Herbert. Herbie. Yeah. Okay.
The love bug.
1 QB. Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
Does Jalen have a Y in it?
No, Jalen Waddle has a Y in it. Jalen Hurts does not have a Y in it.
God, I know I have problems, but I thought I actually knew how to spell it. Okay. Or a 23, 110, 210, and Rondell Moore in a 1.
This is the kind of move that I would love to make for Hurts.
Yeah.
In a 1 quarterback, now all of a sudden you have a quarterback.
You have one of the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like you have.
Yeah,
exactly.
Josh Wyatt went in the 5th round.
The definite article, the quarterback. Never a quarterback, never implying ownership.
Yeah, give me Hurts.
Right.
Give me
not a quarterback, the quarterback. Show some respect.
Show some damn respect. Got Roshan at 209. Woo. That's a win.
Kenji. Like it.
Rice Cake Randy is talking to someone else. I just wanted to say his name because that's awesome. Costy, Tank's been falling into the early 3rd in 12 teams. Yeah, Tank Bigsby. Yeah, I'm all about Tank. Especially
I am loving it, and I'm grabbing it almost every single time.
2 tanks. I can't do that, but I'm going to do it.
I loved it.
I'm going to keep saying 2 tanks. I will find an intonation I enjoy. That wasn't it, but I will find one. Gavin, I think Hawkinson getting 10 targets a game for 10 games is a sign he's set to be the second. No, it's not. That's where I'm at. I'm sorry. I think Hawkinson earned targets at a fairly similar rate that he did in Minnesota. I think he's good. I think he's top 12 tight end. I think he's slightly undervalued in the startup I'm just doing. Addison's better.
And they also want to pass the ball. They don't want to run the ball anymore. So there might be a volume increase in general. And Yeah, I am not. You can't hold what happened last year when the guy wasn't there.
And it's not a JSN bad, Addison good. It is Addison good, JSN good. Addison should walk into an easier chance of targets and even routes. Like if you look at what Pete Carroll has done with 12 personnel and not having 3 wide receivers on the field a ton, like that's going to have to be a paradigm shift for JSN to be on the field as much as people want him to be, as much as I want him to be on the field.
Yeah. Like this feels like a next year Lockett's going to be gone. And then the year after they might be thinking that DK's gone.
Yeah.
Like this feels like a move for the future.
But again, like
future what it is.
Like my film grades on Addison and JSN were, and so to me, it's not a matter of I'm not taking the inferior wide receiver because there is not an inferior wide receiver. They are both absolute studs. And to give you your he'll never be the wide receiver 1 on his team. You're right. Yes, just like Jalen Waddle will never be the wide receiver 1 on his team. Just like when Justin Jefferson came in, he would never be the wide receiver 1 on his team. Just like when A.J. Brown came in, he would never be the wide receiver 1 on his team. Just like Jarvis Landry would never be the wide receiver 1 on it. It doesn't matter. If you're driving targets, it doesn't matter that you're the second fiddle as long as you're driving enough targets with enough receptions, with enough yardage to be fantasy viable.
Yeah, it depends what you're calling wide receiver 1. If you're going to score it by who's scoring more points, JSN is going to be the wide receiver 1 on that team, in my opinion. Like DK Metcalf can take his shirt off all he likes. I don't care. He's got all the tea. He's awesome and will continue to do very, very well. And to each of their points, Minnesota saw Hawkinson and Jefferson on the same team, said that was pretty good. Now let's go get Addison. That seems like a very different move than looking at your team seeing DK Metcalf and 30-year-old Tyler Lockett and saying both are going to be due money next year. Let's go get JSN, literally as the first wide receiver off the board this year. That seems like a future bet, not a adding something else to the depth chart bet. Because Seattle tends not to do it that way anyway. But I don't hate it. I don't hate that you're liking JSN here. To be clear, it sounds like I'm being negative. I love it. I love you, Gavin. This is awesome.
Again, literally,
and I would draft it that way.
Like 5, 6, and 7. You are going to be happy.
You are going to be happy regardless of who you take in which order. Yeah.
I literally just took JSN over Addison and Gibbs in trade at 7. So don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I know. Now you're
wrong. I don't care. I don't care.
Peter, I know.
I know you know. And part of my reasoning was Russ Walls be willing to trade for JSN more than anyone else. So I just take that guy. And then I'm kind of just extending the length of that.
I got so angry. He took the 105. He took Smith and Jigba at the 105. I traded the 106. I'm just like, no, screw it. I don't want Gibbs.
I considered sending you a trade offer for the 6, but I couldn't come up with anything that just wasn't stupid and you shouldn't take, just so I could take Addison.
I thought I got a great offer, but then Zach chose Casey's side of getting the 106 over what I got anyway. So
yeah,
it's no big deal.
Well, he's a hater.
Always.
Brendan, the 101 and 102, Bijan and Bryce Young. I think that's where the average is, but I think Richardson's going to go 101 and 102 pretty often in a lot of rookie drafts. Again, don't trust rookie ADP, even as far as we can trust regular ADP. I have the 104 and the 105. What would you add to either to move up to the 103 to get Richardson? Again, you might miss him, so you have to be comfortable getting into that tier, and whoever's there is there. But you know your league, so assuming you're right, what would you add to either pick to get up to take the quarterback, the exact quarterback that you wanted? I mean, not much, because I'm pretty happy with Young and Stroud as the ones that fall out of that for some people. To move up to the 3 from the 4 or the 5, I'm probably second. I'm actually really happy in that tier. So
yeah, and
unless I'm moving up to the 101, I'm not doing a lot to get up further.
And I'm in a similar place, Peter, because I still think you're getting a good quarterback. and the pick of those three, Gibbs, JSN, Addison. Like I'm not unhappy being there. I probably wouldn't pay enough to make that move. Like you're right. If it's a second, I'm fine. If I have to throw in a first or a future first, like that's fine. I'm good. I'll draft Stroud and be happy. Or
Stroud
maybe
is your basement. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and maybe Richardson falls and you got what you wanted without having to make a move. I don't see that being I have to go make a move here.
But if you do want to do it, you're probably going to have to throw a first on there. I would say throw a second, see if you can get lucky, but probably it's a first, and I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But what do I know? I like JSN. JSN Seahawks wide receiver 1.
He will be.
Not much. Brandon, or would you sit Pat? I would probably end up sitting Pat because I'm really happy in that tier in a super flex. I'm like, I got it. I got this. Unless I'm going up to the 101, I'm pretty happy with who I'm taking there in a super flex. I'm in the tier I want to be in. I'm more interested in like getting more into that range or value build, try and get future picks to get out. I'm an up or out guy, and the only up move I make is to go get the 101. And if I'm not doing that with that team in that situation, or I can't get the trade, I'm probably sitting Pat in that tier. Daniel Mayer, any relation? Because we just said positive things about Mayer, right? We were positive. That's cool.
John.
Good evening, gents. I may have. There's so many famous Mayers. I may as well put it in a few interesting trades I've made this offseason to get your thoughts on. Yeah, sure. We'd love to hear from you. Kid Coop, Elijah Moore or Charbonnet, A-Chain, Miller. I have it A-Chain. And then we enter that running back tier of Miller. Charbonnet is at the bottom of those three. I'd rather have all three than Elijah Moore right now, because I think those are more tradable come for the next 3-6 months, easily at least.
We had this conversation probably 3 or 4 weeks ago when Elijah Moore first got traded. And to me,
I wanted to be higher on Moore, and you all owned me for it, so I came down.
Elijah Moore is a bet on points, because if he does not score points this season, he doesn't have value. He does not. Like, we're not going to get excited about post-hype Elijah Moore in year 3. Like, we're just not.
That's why I started trading him for running backs. I traded him for Aaron Jones in a second. I would trade him into this tier pretty happily. And I'd be surprised if he could get into it.
Yeah, to me, that's A-Chain, like, easily.
Yeah. And A-Chain was,
And then Miller, and then Charbonnet, even though Charbonnet is better.
I drafted my first Charbonnet because I needed one just in case, but I didn't like it.
Who, sorry?
Charbonnet.
I like the way you say it. I'm gonna come back to that. You pronounced it with all its syllables, and I enjoyed that. Tired. Garrett Wilson, Jets wide receiver 1. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that one.
Well, you got to do the wired part. You can't just do tired and then comment. You got to go tired, wired.
Okay.
Like, is the answer supposed to be like Alan Lazard?
Wired. Zach Kuntz, Jets wide receiver 2. Kuntz is, again, tight ends in this class I take shots at. Kuntz was I didn't like his profile. I didn't like his profile.
Having nothing to do with the player itself, I'm just rooting for Ruckert at this point.
Do you know how many years of value windows we gave to Kobe Fleener? Like, Zach Kuntz could do that, sure. Like, that's kind of where I'm at on it.
Yeah, but Kobe Fleener could block, and that's why, at least, like, a little.
And that hair.
And he had Andrew Luck, and everyone was like, college connection.
I loved it. I loved screaming that. I loved
it. This Charlie Jones to Bengals is really intriguing. He reminds me of an Edelman type. Charlie Jones. I know the name. I haven't looked at the profile too close.
He's a white wide receiver.
Oh, okay. So Edelman. Obviously.
That's why. Yeah,
he's the forklift operator.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, he works at South Central Receiving, you know.
Jonesy. What do you guys think of Trey Tucker? I don't think much.
I don't know what he's Tampa? Is he
I know the name, but he's someone like you. Like, that's an NFL
player. Las Vegas.
Vegas, then I don't know who he is, so I don't care.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Like, I'm not saying I've seen anything negative. It's like he hasn't stood out to me in any of the research I've done, so I assume he's just a person who plays in the NFL, and I have no interest. But I could be just sleeping on him, and I need to add another process. Give a 2023 106, 107, 112, 207, 320, 24 first.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Just like giving stuff. Get Mahomes, Kelsey in a super flex. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 first and a second from Mahomes and Kelsey in a super flex.
Chances are I will be sad about losing 2, 3 of these at most, but I will dry my tears on when I just print out a picture of Mahomes and Kelsey, and I'll like make a fake football jersey with my fantasy team name on it and just be like, those picks, I remember them.
Well, you haven't given up a quarterback this year. You might have given up a couple next year, depending on where those picks land, but it's Mahomes, so that's fine. This is too much and the exact right amount at the exact same time. I think I'm just going to take Mahomes, life rule. If you can trade for one of those guys, trade for one of those guys. Plus,
I will be sad losing JSN and Addison, but not when I have Mahomes and Kelsey on my team.
There are going to be 5 to 8, 9 weeks where those two players
outscore everyone,
win you a week. Like Mahomes, Kelsey. Mahomes throws for 350 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kelsey has 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. You win. Like, you win.
You've given up like Gibbs, Addison, probably it's not Kincaid. Let's say Devin A-Chain. And 324 first. So you're also like, they should be pretty happy, but yeah, I'd take my home side. It's a good trade in that regard. Everyone should be happy in a trade. Everyone should get a chance to win from it. Or not. Local liability, 10-team, 1 QB. Before rookie draft, QBs were Rodgers, Lance, Zach Wilson. That's rough. He took JSN at 103. I'm with it.
Yeah.
Richardson at 4. I like the fact that you took JSN because you knew you could take the quarterback second, affecting the ADP.
Oh, this next part is the coup de grace, though.
Then traded the 110 and the 301 for the 106. Exactly. You don't trade back into the Addison pick. You trade up into it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good job.
Wait, so this is a quarterback league where Addison made it to 6?
Yeah. Well, but he also took Richardson fairly high for a 1 quarterback.
Yeah,
it's probably too high, but
someone else had to have taken a quarterback you do
like that with.
Bought on Kincaid.
Yeah,
like, that's crazy. I'm surprised that's all it took for you to pay up.
But the answer to your last question is no. That's about as good as you can do.
No,
did you reach on Richardson? Yeah, but it doesn't matter because you just made out so freaking well. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, your league just let you get away with the Richardson pick and win with it. So, good job. Elijah Moore is not a Jet, Genji. He's a Klee.
He's a Klee.
Yeah, he's a Klee. I've always said he's a Klee. Also,
true, he has always said that.
Jay Wake. Also, on the when to rookie draft questions, the league vote was 7-1, and the commissioner has threatened to quit if we draft before mid-June. Someone please tell me I'm not crazy. This is ridiculous. Commissioner threatened to quit if everyone doesn't do what they want is a little backwards.
If that's what he wants, then just be the dictator. Like, that's fine as a commissioner, but
not if you have a league vote. Everyone. If you have a league vote,
but then own up to it and don't let people vote. Just tell them when the draft. I forgot to remind people about the rookie drafts that happened Monday after the NFL draft. And on Saturday, I'm like, crap, guys, our draft is in 2 days. Hope you're good for it.
I get it.
If you just say this is what things are, then just do that. That's rule changes. I put to votes. That I kind of you don't have to, but you should. But something like when the draft is, I will go as far as to saying it's a slow draft. If you're busy for 6 hours, You'll still be fine. If anyone is going camping and will be off the grid for the weekend, fine. That I can take. But otherwise, too bad.
I would say it's all about your league rules. If your commissioners set your league up to where they can be the dictator, then that's what it is. But if they're putting something to a vote, then that's not what they've done.
And that's what I said. Like, if you have a vote on this and the league voted 7-1, then the league voted. Like, your commissioner, like if you have a best interest in the league clause or whatever, or if you're doing like what Russ does and says, okay, this is when the draft is, that's fine. But if you're putting it up to a league vote, the league votes, and then you're like, nah, I'm going to start a DM with the 7 guys who voted yes and say, okay, we need to pick one more. Who's going to commission this?
Yep.
The other thing is it's an 8-team league, so who really cares? But to catch you up, Russ,
I'm not going to.
This means that the commissioner is threatening to quit if they don't leave the draft till mid-June. If they have it before mid-June, I'm like,
so
that's
cool.
weird. That's a weird I'll quit move. You know.
I mean, Russell commission for you. Just hit him up.
He does no commish work. He's got an open schedule. He's fine.
Yeah.
But good commissioners are hard to find. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm saying because I don't know him. But I would say, yeah, that's a little weird. If you put something to a vote, the vote should stand. If you don't want to put things to vote, that's the way it is. Commissioner decides that. But once they've made the decision, that they should follow through. If you're going to vote on something, that's it. You know. But that's just my 2 cents, though. He is a commissioner. Or she. Shoko. Hello. Genji. Should just nuke the league. It sounds like the league's going to nuke itself the way it's going. DJ Moore and Rashad White, or the 102.
102.
In a super flex, especially for 102.
In a super flex, like that's what, like 106 at best? No, not even. That's like 107, 108.
With Rashad White, he's getting more value, but yeah, 6, 7.
Like,
let's say the 7. Let's say the ideal pick.
It's like after the 10 and
it's
beyond.
The Kincaid pick. It's after 8 is Quentin Johnston, 9 is Flowers, and then when you hit 10, when you're about to hit either Kincaid or Levis, that's when I go.
Here I'll take DJ Moore.
But DJ Moore's finally got a quarterback. Genji, Anthony Davis about to pop off. Yes, sir. Kid Coop, DJ Moore.
That's the same
one. We took a while to get here, apparently.
But now it's a 12 team. It's even worse. No, I don't know.
Good point. Is Hooker's draft capital a result of his injury? No, I think it's the result of him not being really a first-round prospect, I think.
Injury and age, and it's stupid because, like, oh no, we're only going to get him for 12 years.
Yeah. I do think that the injury was a big part of his falling.
Which is ridiculous when, like, Christian Watson and Jameson Williams and like all these guys, wide receivers get drafted in the first, but you don't take that shot at quarterback. Like, I know a lot of what I know is what I've listened to Zach said anyway, and I'm about to talk over him, which is hilarious in my mind because it's Zach and because I love him and I know he loves me and he'll let me do this. But like, Hooker's good. He's not great, but he's not bad. He's good. Jared Goff is all right. Yeah, he's all right. Like, I don't understand.
Hey, man, he knows
such an easy path to starting. He might not be the long-term answer. He might not be a fantasy QB1, but it's a super flex league. Like, all right, well, I just turned that into me complaining about my drafts, but like the fact that he doesn't go till the end of the second is ridiculous to me.
And I mean, I'm not doing
which is why I have
evaluation, but he didn't stand out to me particularly. It's fine. How close are Ken Walker III and Breece Hall for you guys? Not very close.
They're separated by an and in your question, James.
Yeah, so 3 letters.
Who would you get a timeshare with?
Breece Hall's got an injury to overcome, and there tends to be significant time between his return and his return to form from that injury, and that is fair.
But
Ken Walker was less than Breece Hall by at least 1 first-round pick, no matter what the values are. Like, I would value Breece Hall a lot more than Ken Walker before Zach Charbonnet showed up. And there is a significant chance that Zach Charbonnet is a bigger part of that committee.
But Ken Walker
even
can
if he's
catch
not.
Passes, Peter.
I know he can. I he's phenomenal at it. He's just not gonna. Anyway, so yeah, I get that Breece Hall's production probably isn't going to match what he will do eventually, but I mean, I specifically talk about Dynasty. If you're talking about a 6-week league, maybe, sure. But yeah, the draft hurt Ken Walker, and he was already significantly below Breece for me. So,
Same.
102.
Oh, excuse me.
Agreed.
I didn't hit the mute.
Not even close. 12 teams to flex. 104 and 224 first, or Allen? Is that Josh Allen? It's Josh Allen.
It's Josh Allen.
If your team stinks, the package. If not, Josh Allen. No, it's just Josh Allen.
It's just Josh
but
Allen.
Thanks for playing, Gage. That might still be a little low. It is. Trade T in a 25 first for Burks and the 105 this year. T in the 25 first, Burks in the 105.
In a 1 QB league.
Oh. Okay.
That's not really high enough, is it?
Ended up with JSN at 2 and traded from 105 to 103. I still don't know why you're trading into Richardson at 3
in a
1 QB.
No, you're all taking Richardson too high in 1 QB leagues. The 4 and then a 3, like the 8. The 8, okay, it's around about where I'd take.
Honestly, wait, hold on. Bijan, Gibbs, JSN, Addison, Quentin, Flowers, and then I'm good with Richardson.
Yeah,
7. Okay, I'll take that. Just not the top 5. Burks, I really like Burks, but I really like Higgins too. Don't tell Russ Fisher this, but he's actually pretty good. I think the difference between the two,
like I don't,
you
probably shouldn't have had to like T for Burks in the 105 and a 1 quarterback is probably the right trade. Like,
yeah. You would know. Yeah, so yeah, that. Equity Loon, are you guys high on Richardson in 1 QB? I mean, he's the only quarterback I consider in the first round, which I consider pretty high. But apparently not. According to what you all are up to.
2 people already taking him earlier than we would have. Whatever makes you happy.
How early is it okay? Where should you take Keyshawn Butte in a rookie draft this year? Assuming Superflex.
Josh knows that the smart answer is the chance of Booty hitting is not very high. It's like, again, like 4% maybe. Like it's stupid low, a 6-round pick. But
the upside's pretty good.
Yeah, like I'm still like he was my pre-draft wide receiver 4. And
I think he's getting overdrafted right now because this is I've seen this point made a few times.
So like I took him in the mid-3rd, early 3rd.
That's great. That's great. That's awesome.
There are
anywhere in the 3rd round. It's like have your fun.
Yeah,
it's like after the 205. Honestly, you can have your fun after that running back in the tight end tier we've said. But there's still a few prospects like Rashee Rice, like. Some of those running backs that I'd still probably rather have for immediate impact and value changes. So by the time you get to the 3rd round, like the 301 is a great pick for Booty if you're not expecting too much. And it's just that deep upside shot. But I think he's getting spoken about so much that's going to be common. That's going to be a common pick, which is probably a little strong for our expectations.
So I have my Trade Addicts ADP up. There are 7 drafts in which I'm still going to say Butte because it sounds fancier, has been drafted. The earliest of 22 and the latest of 42, which is ridiculous. And his ADP is clearly in the middle of that at 32.7.
Yeah. 3rd round pick. It's fine. Because you're just taking someone in the 3rd round, let's face it. If Tank Bigsby's gone, I'm all good. You can take him. And I got Jaden Reed at 306. That's awesome. That's a great spot to get Jaden Reed there.
That's pretty late. Pick 26.
I would have made the commission change that. Okay. I can see the appeal of Jaden Reed, but isn't the landing spot tough? I mean, landing spot doesn't weigh on me too much. Jordan Love is an unknown, is a positive, to be honest with you, because there's upside in the unknown. I wouldn't say it's a bad spot.
But isn't it also good in that maybe he just happens to click with Reed instead of Watson? We don't know anything.
That's what I mean. It's kind of we don't know what he succeeds at.
Yeah,
or he doesn't succeed at.
Like, I like the fact that there aren't that many pass catchers there, and most of them are rookies. So or second year, all of them are rookies or second year at this point. So I think it's a good spot.
Slightly above average receiving profile, a team that clearly is interested in investing in him more than we expected. That's what matters to me about the landing spot.
Aaron Jones, baby.
Yep.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm still here for it.
Mims was traded up for too. I think that's a more solid move. Yeah.
I'm still so happy with Mims's landing spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, scream.
I mean,
team bags.
You put one of the best, the best deep ball wide receiver in the class with one of the best deep ball throwers traditionally in the NFL. Last year, not great. A lot of injury, bad coaching, it just was an ugly situation. But man, Russ can throw the ball down the field very
It's going to be better this year. I think that's kind of my suspicion that Russell Wilson. Actually, I wasn't terrible. Like, thanks. Wasting all that value last year.
That was my. Did anybody see the picture of Sean Payton and Russell Wilson at the basketball game the other day? And Payton is leaning over with his phone showing Wilson something. Somebody posted that and was like, caption this picture, and I just took it and I kind of cut in like what's on the phone, and it was a Blue Apron subscription. Yeah.
12-team Superflex start 11 PPR 0.75 tight end premium, which is barely a premium at all. I'm kidding. Would you trade the 24-105? You don't know that yet, but sure. And Levis for Anthony Richardson. Definitely not a competitive team this year, but I have the 24-101, 104, 105.
Do they mean
103?
Like to the 23? Like how are they?
I think he's talking about trading his Knicks.
But how does he know all of these numbers?
He definitely doesn't know a 24-105, unless he's saying he's going to trade his 105 and the pick that's going to be Levis. Or maybe it's a Devy League for Richardson, in which case I'd be like, yeah, sure, that's cool.
My brain hurts. I'm not going to answer anything. I don't know.
I think what's happening is he's assuming that the picks from this year are going to be the same slots next year, and they're not
the case.
Yeah, I'd still do that though. I'd trade a what I suspect is a mid early first and Levis for Richardson. I would do that.
Yeah, there isn't a permeation here where I wouldn't take the Richardson side, but I am interested to find out which way what that trade actually is. So Richardson, but let me know what the trade was. Okay. Eric, 10-team 1QB traded a 25 first for the 108. Solid. Ended up getting Quinton.
Love it.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I won't say negative things about Quinton. He's fine. I actually have some. I like him. It's fine. It's fine. With pick, love or hate the trade. I hate giving up 25 first. I trade draft capital fairly freely. I try not to get too far into the future because that's what I'm trying to do to other people if I'm trying to do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, the value is great. The 108 for a first 2 years down the road is awesome. And Quinton's got a lot of prospects. Good landing spot, good draft capital.
I like how he rationalizes that he doesn't like Quentin Johnston. And he's like, yeah, this is great. He's got all these things. He's got a great quarterback, which we just established doesn't matter to Peter.
Did not say that, did I? Did I? Don't put words in my mouth.
Peter thinks Aaron Rodgers is terrible and the Jets are going to lose every game. Garrett Wilson won't score.
That's exactly what I said. Bro, at the 111, you passed on so much talent. That's crazy. Did I?
I don't know what we're talking about.
I don't remember anyone else saying the 111. Oh, that was the Jaden Reed pick. Someone took Jaden Reed 111, and we also did not like it. Rookie draft, 12-team Superflex, non-best ball. Okay. Start 10. Only players rostered were Trey Lance, Burks, Zach Wilson. Why are people rostering Zach Wilson in Superflex? It makes no sense. The 101, the 105, the 106, the 108, the 201, 204, 207, 208, 209. I'm not saying that again. Traded the 201 for the 206 and the 306. What is the question? The 2-1 for the 2-6 and the 23-30. You traded back significantly. I'd rather have the 201 if that is in fact the 201. To be honest. Knicks in 6, baby.
Is that like a Dr. Seuss book? What is that?
I don't know.
Basketball?
Basketball reference?
What? What?
I don't know. There are other sports, apparently. Minnesota Monster. In 3 years, if Stetson Bennett is fantasy relevant, will anyone understand how we didn't see a two-time national champion selected by Sean McVay coming? No. Well, know exactly how. But that's fine. I know how I didn't see Gardner Minshew coming, for example. We kind of did see Dak coming. I wasn't around when Tom Brady was drafted. I'm far too young for that, but I imagine that was the kind of surprise you're talking about. I kind of think he's the anti-Purdy, fun 4th-round dart. I've heard the name with this exact argument attached, but yeah, sure.
I don't mind taking him in the 4th. He's a quarterback.
Yeah, Stetson should be drafted in every Superflex draft.
Yeah.
I actually don't know. I would say if this is the strong mic drop argument that a player drafted by Sean Payton wasn't being drafted in the first, Sean McVay wasn't drafted in the first round. Like if that's the mic drop, that's the strongest argument for Sean McVay, that he won some college titles and was drafted by Sean McVay. Like that's why we didn't see him coming, because those things don't correlate to jack shit. Pardon me. But I'm for it, especially with those deep shots. I didn't mean that sounds so negative, but like that's why.
That's just the way he sounds, so it's fine.
I generally sound negative. It's not you guys, it's me, genuinely.
Who do you have,
Genji.
Aaron Rodgers or Stetson Bennett?
Stetson Bennett, 100%. Ended up with Bijan 4th round. JSN took Mims solid. 204 took Laporta, Bigsby, Kent.
Yeah.
So you got it.
Yeah,
Everyone.
Yeah.
Nice. One of them's bound to do well. I was going to ask you about Donald Mooney. Like, Donald Mooney's forgotten man in ADP and drafts and trades right now. Any interest? Justin Fields. Justin Fields hype. Get hype. Mooney was pretty good.
Yeah, he's fine.
Okay. I haven't been doing anything with him, and nor does he show up as a value in my ranks. I'm like, we just kind of gave up on him like Michael Gallup, I guess.
Mooney is one of my like real fun like 4th.
That's why I thought I'd ask you about
stories.
it.
Yeah, like I was like I got him in the 4th round every draft that year. He did well, and then I traded him because he did well.
Now you're done.
Yeah, it's like okay. I mean that's fine. Like he's fine, but he's not somebody I'm actively going after.
Fair enough. And S, I am the commish in that league. Oh, you are? Well.
Wait, so he's the one saying he's going to leave if...
I guess. His team,
No.
Honestly, if you want to take Reed, then what? Yeah, exactly. I'm assuming he's.
I think he's saying he's commissioner in the league. Yeah.
Vacated touches for running backs is the only thing during the season. A little bit for tight ends. Again, I think it definitely helps that projection.
Yeah, I mean that's the elevator escalator thing,
which is wonderful, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nick's like you got away with win in 7. Like this may as well be a different language to me, guys. I'm sorry. I try to keep up, but I do not understand. Celtics and Warriors. Are we talking ancient history now?
That's your jam. Yeah.
I wouldn't understand if this is a historical reference, and my only question is, what are the Warriors? And
what defense are we playing? We're playing the Wall of Hadrian. What Warriors? Let's go.
A lot of Warriors. The Celts felt a lot of different Warriors. Which century are we talking? Sam Darnold starting week 1 confirmed.
I do into 3 parts like Gaul.
By who?
Oh, sorry.
Which Celts? Celts for the Romans. Celts for
Sam Darnold starting week 1 confirmed.
I mean,
is that really
much can be confirmed this far out, right?
No.
Sam Darnold can always screw it up. That's my take. He is the best at holding clipboards. Well, second best. Hey, fellas, 12-team Superflex contending roster. Trade my 24 second and 25 second for James Conner and Brandon Cooks. Probably keep the seconds. I mean points, but no.
James Conner is like a great player to go after because they didn't do anything to replace him. I know the offense won't be as nearly as good because Kyler's not there, but the dude should still have decent volume pretty much to himself. Unless it's like all of a sudden Keontae Ingram season, in which case I'm still here for it.
Keontae Ingram. I have to admit I'm not excited about that running back room.
Like him and Cooks shouldn't be at these prices anymore. Even though 25 seconds far away and everything.
Yeah, but again, I would pass. Gavin, Ritter is a more talented prospect than Purdy.
Okay.
I'm not going to disagree. Why can't Ritter lead? He's going to be the quarterback with arguably more talented weapons and the same success.
Hold on.
See, this is a side of argument you're going to have to account for too if you want to value the quarterback part of that relationship too heavily. I mean, ultimately, this is a trap I'm trying to avoid. Like, he's got very talented weapons. It doesn't mean Ritter is going to do particularly well. In the same way that having Aaron Rodgers doesn't hurt, for sure, but it doesn't make his quarterback wide receiver 2 in Green Bay especially good. It means it gets spread around if he doesn't have a great wide receiver.
But now you're moving.
That's not an anti.
Garrett Wilson is not the wide receiver.
That's not
2.
an anti-Wilson argument. He's the wide receiver 1. He's going to do good, like he did good last year. I also have him ranked in the top 12 in Dynasty. That's my point. Like, there's no upside from that. And Aaron Rodgers is a double count at best. Like, I'm already projecting a lot of growth just based on what Wilson did. Saying and Aaron Rodgers is a plus on something that shouldn't have a plus on. Anyway, yeah, I don't have a strong opinion Ritter versus Purdy. I think Purdy did pretty well last year considering where he came from and the situation he was thrown into without real warning. Ritter, we have some hopes for. I don't think either have a lot of high-level prospects, but hopefully they can lead an offense, like you said.
Yeah, like Ritter's not going to set the world on fire, but don't forget what trash he was dropped into last year.
Yeah.
And regardless of what he did, he made Drake London look really good. So now Bijan
first off,
and then Pitts will be there. Like, there's no reason. Like, both of these, the two have nothing to do with each other. Like, completely whatsoever.
That is also a fair point. Like, it's
like oranges taste so good
for the other one to be
so
good.
Apples are good also. Like, that's not how that works.
The other part of this is CMC.
Yep.
Okay. Kittle.
Yep.
Okay. And then Debo.
Yep.
And Ayuk.
Yep.
Those are better weapons.
San Francisco weapons.
Those are better weapons. And again,
those are better weapons.
I don't even care about the argument. I don't want to get, but like, and Purdy didn't actually do that well, fantasy wise.
He did well football wise. He
did really well football wise. He was okay fantasy wise.
I think he was like 16, 17 points a game ish.
Yeah,
which is
fine. He did a lot of check down to CMC, and he did a lot of like, hey, George Kittle, run.
That's what Garoppolo was there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not holding that against him because that's what San Francisco was built for. But we are taking who Purdy was and like using that to elevate in our minds what he did.
Right.
Oh, it's the Josh Allen shield as well. It's like this quarterback had a bad profile, therefore any quarterback who had a bad profile can be good. Which I guess is technically true, but it doesn't mean that a bad profile is good. So Purdy was good, therefore Ritter will be good. It's almost the same logic.
Yeah, there's a lot of straw manning going on over here.
Oh, sorry. I like doing that.
No, I just meant in all of our statements, it's just things that have nothing to do with each other.
If you're having fun, Gavin, honestly, that's all I care about. Seriously. Adam, in the 12-team Superflex tight end premium league, who are the veterans you are targeting? How do we find these things? What's a veteran? Over 27, right? If you are targeting to trade out of your rookie thirds and fourths.
P. Ryan, yeah,
I love P. Ryan because he's starting this season.
P. Ryan, Elijah Moore. If Elijah Moore counts as a veteran, we got options. And because the first one my mind went to was Debo. He's a veteran
Yeah, but he's saying trade out of your thirds and fourths. Nobody's giving you Debo for
yeah.
Seriously though, like no, take a step back. Anyone who's not a rookie is a veteran.
Touche.
Yeah. There's no other word.
I mean, the only name we've mentioned so far that's anywhere close to a third and fourth is maybe Juju, but you'd have to add, so that probably doesn't count. We're talking outside the top 150 picks, right?
Madison?
Yeah. If you can get Madison for a third, I would do that very quickly.
So I'm on a rookie. Romeo Dubs.
It's worth a shot.
So this is going to be a deep one, but Juwan Johnson is somebody that I would trade a fourth, maybe a late third to go get as a tight end because, again, he could end up being a top 12, which is ridiculous. But he
also doesn't mean much. But also, he did really well like the second half of last year, and nothing really changed. A.T. Perry?
Yeah. But he is a rookie. No,
I'm saying like that's all they really added.
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney is a name that came up, but this one actually got me excited. I don't think you can get him for a third, but if you could, I'd be so hyped. Rondell Moore was being drafted 155th overall last month. If you could get him for a third, I would love doing that. If he counts as a veteran, that's my answer.
I firmly believe at this point you probably can.
Do you think you could get Bailey Zappi?
In the Superflex League for a third? No, because too many people are holding on for their Mac Jones hatred.
They'd see you coming.
Because that would be one season. That would be one that I would try. But
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, just one last ride on the value train.
it would be so hard to part with him for a third after you spent the 101 because you didn't listen to reason.
Yeah. Noah Fan, Seattle. Well, Tim Patrick, but that's just because I'm me and I'm going to do that. Screw everything. I'm getting Tim Patrick. Greg Dortch.
No.
Odell Beckham. Would he be worth a third now?
Yeah.
I guess you can make a case for that. Michael Thomas has got to be a second, right?
Do you think you could get Zeke for a third and then trade him for a second when he signs?
Yes, I think you might be able to pull that off. Leonard Fournette, he'll sign somewhere, right? Probably not.
Maybe. He sounds like a New England guy. That's a Belichick move. Like after
James Robinson, he's a New England running back now, right?
Yeah, but that would be like the after. There's a point in time where if you sign a player, his contract is not guaranteed and doesn't like that.
And you get
that'll be the Belichick move.
I legitimately didn't know about the existence of compensatory picks until 1 year where the Patriots were just like, hey, NFL, watch this. And they had like 18 third-round picks, and we're just like, they cheated. I'm like, wait, no, they actually did that.
It was a year that they had their first round pick taken away, and Belichick was just like, I'm going to sign all these guys and then let them all go. Watch this.
Like
it's in the rule.
Yeah,
like
you took my first, but I got it back.
Yeah, he's the king of if it's not in the rules. Corey. Just wanted to say, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Corey. That actually feels good after talking for this long about stuff, and no, I'm really caring. So I appreciate you, Corey. If Brock Purdy did it for 6 games, then anyone else can do it too. Yeah, again, that's a Josh Allen argument. If Josh Allen can do it, anyone can do it. I mean, it wasn't that bad of a profile, but it's pretty bad. It wasn't Anthony Richardson bad.
Over an hour back, by the way.
I'm going to speed up. 12 team, Deshaun Watson or Anthony Richardson?
The answer should be Watson, but I want Richardson.
Michael Matthews just traded the 104 and the 204 for Saquon Barkley. Solid. I like it.
One QB.
One QB, I love
One
it.
QB, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. 12 team, Mixon, Lockett, Ertz, late third for the 107. Yes, 107, please. Turned out to be JSN. Oh, geez, you already know it was good.
Yep.
Besides Bijan, who from the last two classes do you see being taken first round in startups? Right now? I mean, 2021, so Chase.
Got rid of the freaking
Jalen Waddle.
Hold on.
No, I think that he means 23 and 22 because Bijan is in 23.
So hold on. First round of a mock draft I did for May. Jefferson, Chase, Lamb. There's Bijan, AJ Brown, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Christian McCaffrey, Jalen Waddle, ARSB, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, and then Breece Hall went 201.
Looking at DLF ADP, which I happen to have, and I can sort by draft class right now. The only less than 20, some 12, right? In the first round.
Was that one quarterback? Yes.
It's Bijan Robinson from last month, DLF ADP. Yeah. Where would rank Judy among wide receivers? Good question.
From the rookie wide receivers.
Oh, among rookies.
Third.
I wasn't as high on Judy as a lot of metrics guys, actually, so I might have had him lower. JSN, Addison, I just love Addison. Yeah, then Judy. So third, maybe. Yeah. If I couldn't have Tank Dell or Josh Downs, I'd have Judy. Small guy. Team small guy. Who is the nerf? Me.
Like when I showed up or something?
No, it's the next Daniel Jones, but he typoed and then sent it. Because it's the one after. Who's the next Daniel Jones?
He said nerf instead of next.
Yes. But I like who's the nerf. It sounds like Hook. Who's the shrub?
I just like saying me. Madden's Pass, Pitts or a 24 first? Pitts. And Elijah Moore. Still Pitts. Very good.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Even a premium.
Yeah, Pitts way over one random first.
Yeah.
So who is
Elijah Moore?
I mean, It wasn't Winston. It wasn't Mariota. Can we hope it's Lance?
Daniel Jones? No.
Who's the next?
We thought they would be good. No one ever really thought Daniel Jones was going to be good. So I guess we have to hope like Ritter turns into the next Daniel Jones.
I guess. Any stronger opinions on the second tier of running backs? Charbonnet, Kendre Miller, A-Chain. Yeah. A-Chain should be at the top of that tier by like solidly, almost his own tier. And then personally, I like Bigsby, who's being drafted below him, so you don't have to draft him there. Then Miller, then Charbonnet. Although those two I flip back and forward.
The answer is Roschon Johnson.
And Roschon Johnson should be in there, yeah. And probably above Kendre Miller. A-Chain, Roschon. A-Chain, Bigsby, Roschon for me.
Nah, Bigsby down a couple, but yeah.
I know, because you a hater. Man's Pass, Brian Robinson or Brandon Cooks, Alan Lazard, and Kareem Hunt, and a 24th third.
Wait.
The third?
I mean, I'll take Brian Robinson. Like Brian Robinson.
I think it's Brian Robinson, yeah.
It's
just it could be a starting run, but Lazard, nothing. Kareem Hunt, I mean that was the thing. The third is probably a strong choice too, but I'd probably take Brian.
I think Cooks will be fine, and it's the third. Like whatever.
He's talking to someone else, so I get to skip. He's answering a question because we took so long.
Boom!
2259, 165. Tank Bell 58. 165. I'm pretty sure I checked this out, and he's 10 pounds heavier than Tutu was at the combine. I think Tutu, it's because Tutu was 155. Anyway.
All I know is that Tutu's taller.
Tutu taller?
Yeah, that's what I said. Tutu's taller.
Such a hater. Wendell Robinson, 5'8", 178. You're not allowed to mention the ones that are that reasonably sized that do well, because they're not meant to be able to do that, you see. It was just for one game, to be fair. Edwin Shepard, is Brief worth 224 firsts? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Both picks are likely mid.
So
the team is ready to rock. Yeah. Brees isn't the one you should target if you're ready to rock now.
Yeah.
I like Brees is rough. He also already has Bijan, Gibbs, Swift, A-Chain, Kendre, and Roschon.
If you're ready to rock now, float that out for CMC, float that out for Saquon, float that out for that's what you want to do, because
add one of them to one of those players. Start trying to get the other CMC. Derrick Henry's much cheaper than this, but he's a target. Go get the guys or something. Yeah, Zach was saying it, but I like interrupting him for some reason. He's right.
Heck, you could probably go get both Derrick Henry and Chubb for $224. You could, that would not be out of the realm of possibility. And then all of a sudden, you are stacked.
If you want to spend, go up, man. Go get CMC. Go get Saquon Barkley. If you want players that are gonna do more, go get
Josh Jacobs,
Aaron Jones,
Josh
Jacobs, Miles Sanders. And you won't even have to spend those two first. Who's this year's Purdy? I don't think there is one. It's a rare event, and this year's next tends to be a falsifiable question.
But I feel like at this point, Bennett probably has
Bennett's probably the inline.
The guy who just the chance to play, because Stafford, who knows. But otherwise, you're right. It's not something that's supposed to.
Especially because Purdy was like a Minshew. No one really. I did not that saying I'm the deepest grinder, but I never considered Brock Purdy. And then suddenly the starting position opened up and he was in. That was kind of like a Minshew expectation. Whereas it's Hendon Hooker and some of these others, we have some level of maybe they could, which wasn't true with Purdy. So I think you're right on Bennett there. If there is, which there isn't, it's him. Help. He has a gelato dilemma on the clock, 205 and 206, 14 team super flex, 2 tight end premium. Hooker, Reed, Downs. Take Downs. And then
you need to have 2.
Just take Downs twice. It's probably Downs and Reed. Superflex and Hooker's there. You can take Hooker instead. That's fine. But I would definitely make one of them.
Especially 14-team Superflex?
I think it's Downs and Hooker.
Yeah. Worried about having too many guys on the same team.
Don't.
So don't worry about that, but worry about having good players. And I'm not I'm not
just good general advice.
So he's saying I have Christian Watson, and he's worried about adding Downs to Christian Watson. I'm not convinced either of them are very good.
Yeah.
So
that's fair concern. Walker or Eckler?
Walker. Value says Walker. Points say Eckler.
Yeah, that's
that's what
I tried to
say.
But
I'd rather have Eckler. Equity loan. People are sleeping on JSN in year 1. From your lips to NFL's ears, I hope. I hope for it, but I don't have a lot of expectation. I want 600 receiving yards over the space of a year. I don't even need them all in one game. Although we'll do that one day. Damn no.
Yeah, John Schneider also drafted Rashad Penny in the first. Whatever, man.
Yeah. Don't. Seahawks haunt my draft dreams.
And then right after he made the pick, so many people called us trying to trade for him. No, they didn't, John Schneider. Shut up.
Look. The only time they have to tell the truth is when they make the pick.
Yep.
After they do that, it's all lies. Before they do that, it's all lies. It doesn't benefit NFL teams to tell you the truth, because if you know the truth, then the other 31 teams in the league know the truth, which is detrimental to their team.
99 times out of 100, coaches are saying stuff that isn't true or doesn't help you or doesn't turn out to be true. And that one time, only 40% of the people got lucky. So, it's just, those numbers are clearly made up. It's just don't listen to them, please. I know we've got nothing else to talk about most of the time, but listen for fun. It's entertainment. That's what it is. Stroud might have gotten the best rookie QB-friendly assets. He's also drafted first of the quarterback crowd and drafted last, interestingly enough, of those 3.
He wasn't drafted first.
Stroud was first off the board. Wasn't he?
No. He was second.
Oh, he was drafted above Young.
Bryce Young, 1.
Yeah.
Stroud, 2.
Unga.
I have a spreadsheet.
Have I completely reversed this in my head?
You have,
Stroud went higher in the draft.
And Addison is not in LA.
Yeah, I know that bit.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I know I screwed that
Peter's,
one.
it's like Mythbusters. I reject your reality and substitute my own.
That's how I win. Oh, yeah. All my draft content, apart from my sheet, which you're going to open up right now, doesn't have it. I swear Stroud was taken first. Because I've said that, and everyone was like, yeah. I was like, all right, cool. I'm right, I guess. Anyway, landing spot, though. Better. Protection, lineman, so on and so forth. Things that I don't know about. What do you think?
Hold on. Yeah, that Houston offensive line. I want to go stand behind that.
That commission needs to join more leagues. Everyone, really. Is Foster Moon proof that thoughts and prayers work? What an amazing story. Yeah, I heard he's playing, maybe? Coming back to the NFL. That's pretty
I don't know. That's awesome.
That's yeah.
Very cool.
I didn't hear he was coming back, but that would be amazing.
Hooker was a first-round prospect pre-injury. I think in the vein that Levis was, we all hoped and dreamed. Again, to Zach's point, I take that more broadly. Anything they said about who they were considering the first round is suspect. Only the players they took in the first round were, we can say for sure, were first-round prospects. But, I mean, yeah, a lot of people have a lot of hope. And Hooker's solid. So, solid pick in Superflex this year. Puff Bass Kick, 14-team Superflex, 2-point tight end premium. Pick 2 of 4. Hooker, Reed. I picked down twice and then said maybe Hooker.
It's not Musgrave.
No. Equity alone. Listen to the Lions head coach on Hook. I'm not going to listen to the coaches, but I love that you're actually so knowledgeable and paying so close attention. That
Stop listening
impressions
to
matter. But that would be the best. That's what I would say. But
I heard John Fox 2 years in a row talk about how Jordan Howard was going to be a pass catcher.
Everything I've ever listened to a coach said has turned out to be not true, if not an outright lie.
And I don't think Goff is bad, and he's got tons of weapons.
He's the only one with the courage to tell us the truth about the sun. That's all I know.
That's right. It's over here.
Sulu the Witch. What's good with your boys, man?
Maine?
Way too cool for me. No, not much, man. About the same. Same old. Glad to see you.
It's all good.
Butte really went Rancid. Yeah, he went.
Yeah, but a lot of that is, I assume, is off-field stuff.
More players have hit undrafted than 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks. I think.
More players have been undrafted than 5th, 6th, 7th round picks because you have everybody who didn't get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a.
Well, we can siphon that pool rather significantly, but okay. Zula the Witch just exited a rookie draft with Bijan, Young, Gibbs, Quinton. I rostered Herbo, cool. Maya, Roshan, Maya twice. Kraft and 7 firsts and 5 seconds in 24. Can I get a Broncos country let's ride? Sounds like a Russ soundbite. Can you do a let's ride? No?
This Russ?
Outhouse.
I forgot about that. Holy crap.
I love it.
No, apparently no one's got a let's ride for you, Zuli. But
that's a great rookie draft. Well, Russell Wilson didn't even have a let's ride for like the first 6 games of the season. So
it will be better this year.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Man, I want some Jaden Reed in the 3rd round. Sounds lit, fire, awesome. What kinds of offers do I need to send people in my leagues? I'll hire on him. Maya culpa moment for me. I had no clue who that was until recently. You don't watch my YouTube channel. Just slap me right in the face, Zuli. Dang. No, what do you have to send for the Jaden Reed pick if he's being valued well? So not a 3rd round pick, instead like a mid-2nd round pick, I guess.
Yeah, probably.
That mid-2nd round pick. You could also try aging running backs that people might value a little bit. they're more likely to produce points or do anything than a wide receiver drafted even in the second round. But I don't know. I'd tell us if people in your league are high, you could send a Sanders. You could send who else was I just thinking about? David Montgomery, I guess. That's even lower though. You send a running back with age but proven production who's probably definitely going to do something this year. That's kind of the mid-second round value. I'd look for your roster to send someone because, people like running backs. The season's getting closer. They might be more interested in them. Does that sound right? Yes, thank you, guys. Geno Smith or Russ Wilson in 2025?
Wait.
At value?
I thought we were talking about presidential race.
Is either of them still going to be a top 12 potential starting QB in fantasy?
I think Wilson has a better chance to be than Geno Smith.
Me too. Havoc. I went 11-1 last year in regular season. Lost by 0.56 in the championships because all my starters basically had a dud game. Yeah, that sucks, man. I know.
Should have started Richie James.
Richie James was the answer. Some leagues do protected picks. Projected picks. Sorry.
No, protected.
Yep.
So, like, if it's in the top.
Oh, it guarantees. Right. Right, that makes sense. 12 teams with flex PPR start 11. Give Higgins, Kincaid, 25 first and a 24 second for Jefferson. Yeah, Jefferson. Give me I want Jefferson.
Yeah. It's not too much.
Did I sound too thirsty? Because I'm pretty thirsty for that one. Gavin Ferguson and or a conditional. Yeah. Shallow 8-man superflex. Deshaun Watson, Najee Harris, and Elijah Moore, or Joe Burrow and a 24 second.
Burrow.
Without even thinking. I like Najee, but it's probably Burrow. Cardiac Cats in 5. Again, man, like, I don't. Yay! I agree. Also, to add to my first message about trading the 25-105 and Levis for Richardson, we drafted 23 rookies as players. That makes sense. And 24 draft picks were part of our startup draft. That's why you know the exact pick. That makes sense. You guys buying or selling Pollard? For what is the answer, but probably selling. Any differences?
No, you sell running backs.
Nice. Eric, always appreciate the advice. Currently dealing with 0 running back room, still 10-team, 1 QB league. Trevor Lawrence, Richardson, Gibson, Brown. Brown's an interesting pick this year. McBride, Chase Lamb, Higgins. So all your values in wide receiver. Got it. J-Mo, Quentin Johnson, Downs. Pat Fairmouth and Isaiah Likely.
There you go. He's got moves. You're happy.
Yeah, I am happy. Anything else stick out apart from the really hopes and dreams of running back?
So, in a one quarterback, which he said this is, right? I read that right? Yeah. Then to me, your Richardson is my sell on the hype.
Yeah.
Like that's I know you just drafted him, but that's my sell on the hype. Because yes, we hope that Anthony Richardson comes in and becomes Jalen Hurts or what, but there's a chance that he doesn't. And you've already got Trevor Lawrence, who is a very viable starting quarterback in a one quarterback league. So that's the move that I would be making to try to bolster either.
To build on that, I would go look at the Kyler Murray team. See what they have that you might want. See if you could get Kyler Murray with that for Richardson.
But I don't think you don't need it.
No, you don't need it.
You don't need another quarterback. I think having two, like trading Richardson for a quarterback doesn't gain you anything.
In one quarter. Yeah, sorry, I'm in super flex mode. You're right. And instead, go look at the not Deebo Samuel.
I mean, you
AJ Brown team?
Yeah, maybe, but
you could go look at the Christian McCaffrey team, maybe. You target someone that you need that will provide points and value. That's the way I look. Look for the player that you want. Go look at what they have on their team. See if they might want Richardson. That's what I was thinking of. Or just go look for QB needing teams. Advice on who to move and target. I think we got that right. Russ just kind of stared at me and looking handsome and stuff, so that's pretty cool. D-Bags, also to add to my first message about trading, well, we got that one, man. Thanks very much. Walls of Jericho. Sometimes I just love the out of context message. I've been thinking about trading for James Conner, but I can't pull the trigger. I felt, just, yeah.
Like
it makes sense. What Russ said makes sense. But
you don't go trade for James Conner. Like, you get James Conner thrown in on the trade.
Yeah. Tim Shady, Superflex PPR, Mixon or Brandon Cooks?
Mixon.
Gross. It's still probably Mixon, but it's gross.
It's gross. Okay. Zach Kuntz is a wide receiver too. I mean, Zach Kuntz is barely the tight end. So, whatever. I'm not interested. But yeah, sure, whatever. I don't think so. Mr. Scam Gavin, Kittle greater than Pitt, CMC better than Bijan, Superflex San Francisco wide receivers better than Atlanta wide receivers. Yeah, I think San Francisco's got the better weapons if we were to make a value judgment. Kyle greater than Arthur.
Yeah, Shanahan over.
That's it.
Yeah,
I know. I have some level. If we're just talking the names, I think I prefer Arthur. Arthur's got
I'm telling Kyle you said that.
Winnie the Pooh type sense to it, and also there is Kyle to consider. That's a strong name. Trent Williams, greater than the entire Atlanta offense. He's greater than a lot of people. That's fair. Find a new angle. Hypotenuse. No, wait, that's triangle. 90. I always like 90.
That is an angle.
It's too late for me to be this mad. That's fair.
When Peter's involved, it's never too late.
It's fantasy football. Always remember, doesn't matter. Brock Purdy is mid. I mean, I think that's a compliment, to be honest, considering where he came from, the draft capital he got. To be mid at the NFL level,
literally Mr. Amazing. Irrelevant. Yeah, he'd be thrilled to be mid.
You're making it Purdy. I was just reading the question. I don't think that's a legitimate, straw man. Do you call it? Yeah, they both stink. Relative to Patrick Mahomes, sure, yes, or the other 32. Ritter played 4 and okay. It is an interesting point that Jimmy Garoppolo looked like a phenomenally EPA quarterback, even in that system. The system seems to help.
I mean, he did that in New England too. Like, he's not a bad quarterback.
Yeah,
he just makes stupid decisions at inopportune times.
Completely agree. I just think, again, it's a balance. I think anyway. By the way, I like Bijan. Good. Algier, Patterson greater than CMC and Mitchell.
This is still the same. Yeah, this is still the same. They're arguing back and forth over something.
Saint Simon Foster Maru. There's some positive news. That's awesome. I'd just be happy to hear he's healthy, let alone he can play again. Did you guys see the resurfacing video of Merrill Hogue, Skip Bayless about Manziel? No, I did not.
Yeah.
Bayless says Johnny is a superstar, and Hogue saying anyone who drafts him prior to the 5th round should be fired. One of them got it right.
So many of these draft people, I don't know why they still have jobs. Like, even Mel Kiper's hair's receding, so I don't that was always my answer. Like, the hair is just intimidating, so that's why he keeps his job as a draft personality. But they're usually very wrong, and not to say it's easy. I don't know what the hell. But I've seen many more people do better about prospects and mock drafts and all of this stuff than these main personalities. So I'm not really the hugest Merrill Hodge fan in the first place, but Skip Bayless is literally bad on purpose.
Yeah.
He has to be. There's no other reason for the stuff he says.
Where'd Peter go?
I don't know. And we don't have control, so I'm just going to read the next question. James Jones, DK Metcalf and the 206, or DJ Moore and the 104. I'm deep at wide receiver, but shallow at running back. Does not matter right now. So would likely be targeting Gibbs. It's super flex, so I'm confident he will be there. Well, yeah, because you shouldn't be drafting Gibbs at 4.
Right.
It's May. You don't need to worry about strength or weakness. Plus, it's a rookie draft. You shouldn't be drafting these guys to play your like. It'd be great if they do, but like also he's going to say how he feels about Gibbs. But like the answer to me is you just keep DK Metcalf and figure the rest out. Like you can get a really good running back at 206.
And honestly, if you're trying to trade Metcalf for a running back,
trade Metcalf for a running
why
back.
not trade Metcalf for a running back? I mean, why not go after Josh Jacobs? You know, and you probably could get Josh Jacobs plus for Metcalf. And so why not do that? Why not add, you know, another pick? Hypothetically, you could get something like probably Rashee Rice and Jacobs for Metcalf. Like that is something I would be very happy with.
Yeah, I agree. Got people. I got Shoko. I got Zappy, Brissett, and a 23 4th for Isaiah Likely. A third might get you the Zap.
Yeah, I mean it could, but again, it's league dependent.
Yeah. James says, why would you add more to make it? No. Mr. Scampers, good news. No need to sue Gavin over those terrible takes. Blah, 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 blah. Genji says Quentin Johnston over Judy. No. I love Quentin Johnston in his landing spot. I liked Quentin Johnston before. I'm just so much happier that he ended up in I almost said Chicago Chargers, which is really, really weird because that was never right. Like, I didn't even go to say San Diego. I just said the wrong city. Like, I love that he ended up in LA with Herbert, but Herbert. Khalil Herbert's on Chicago. I'm going to pretend that's where my mind went. But I still think it's Judy over. John Deaton, do you think Devontae is going to have a down year? Waller was injured. Jimmy G isn't known for his deep ball. The other wide receivers were banged up, and they added Jacoby and Mayer. Carr was also feeding him. But he was getting fed because he's really freaking good and was always open.
Yeah.
Garoppolo is good at feeding open people. And Carr isn't good at deep balls either, so that had nothing much to do about the way Adams was producing.
Yeah. The cool thing about Devontae Adams is he's really good.
Yeah, I'm not concerned at all for Devontae Adams. He's Devontae Adams. Like, until the wheels fall off, he's just great, so it doesn't matter. Benjamin Siegel, I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but I've managed to snag downs at each of the 303 and 305 in the same draft. I've only had 5 drafts. Thought of you both times, Peter. Oh, that's cute. I'm sure Peter would be happy and embarrassed. Good night, Mr. Scampers. Good night. Gavin says Jimmy helped Debo get 1,400 receiving yards with 77 catches, but also
hold on, Debo. That's yak.
Yes,
that's what Debo does.
Like, those were the words I was trying to put together in my head. Those were 1-yard passes that went for a lot longer. Gavin, what are you expecting from Breece this year? I see similar production to Saquon's 21 season off his injury. Hey, Peter.
Yeah, I mean
it'll take time for him. I can't remember. Do you remember when he got hurt? I can't even remember anymore. Like it's usually like what 8 months before you're able to play, but 12 before you're somewhat back to normal. Like it's gonna take Breece a bit, but also what's really important is they don't have anyone on their team that can do near what he can.
Week 7.
Yeah, like it's gonna be a little rough. Like
so October 23rd.
Yeah, like you might get full on Breece Hall for your playoff push, like, which is great. But like he might not be there for the beginning of the season. And well, the problem is he'll play, but he won't be Breece Hall while he's playing, which also just might be a buying opportunity if people are silly about it. But But if that's what you're saying to Saquon's 21 season, then yeah, I don't remember 2 years ago anymore. So I don't know why we're talking about Josh Gordon right now.
Me neither. Another value arc. Why not? 3-year contract. I don't know. Is this team
that was
competing?
Moreau? 3 years, $8 million.
Oh, that's great.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, that legitimately makes me happy. Good.
Is this a competitive roster with Hurts, Stroud, Lance Purdy, Bijan, Gibbs, Charbonnet, HA and AJ Brown, CD Lamb, Calvin Ridley, Wandale Robinson?
No.
Muth.
Well, I guess I need to know more about start 9 Superflex, but you didn't say how many teams. You're depending on way too much youth.
I mean, the running backs.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah,
I think your question mark is your QB2.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. So wait, okay, so start 9, you're gonna have Hurts for sure. Let's go for sures. Like you're gonna have Hurts. I'm gonna put Bijan and Gibbs as for sures. AJ Brown, CD. I want Ridley to do big things, so I'm still gonna put him in there, and then Muth. Yep. Chances are 7 solid starters in a start 9. If this is even 12 team, you're probably in a little bit of trouble. Like I don't think you need some things to go your way to have a full good lineup every single week. I would love for Wandale to come out and be good again.
Unfortunately, it's a team that makes the playoffs, but that could be a bad thing for you. You're running a danger of being in the middle.
That's more or less what it is. Like you're not. Yeah, you're in the middle. Right. That's what it is. Yeah.
But keep trying to build instead of trading for points, if that perspective means anything for you. Gavin, you'd rather have Rice and Jacobs and Gibbs and DJ Moore.
This was the DK.
No, because you're like that wasn't a 1-for-1. You end up with keeping and being able to make a move further on.
Yeah.
And maybe
the pick isn't the play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
if this was a trade though, if this was the trade, no, I'd take the Gibbs DJ Moore side. But
yeah, but
context is always king.
But I'm not a huge I'm getting out of DJ Moore. I am. I know, Peter, that
no, right,
he's got a great quarterback now, so he'll be great. But
I'm a big proponent of believe who players are the first time they tell you. That's kind of the way I'd say it. DJ Moore is a fantastic top 24, top 15 wide receiver. I believe it. That's the cap.
But I think he's burying the 206 too. So would you take Roschon Johnson and Jacobs and it wouldn't even have to be Rice. It's whoever you're going to pair with DK, to get to DK Metcalf, pair with Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with that.
I don't know. Anyway, look over there.